itself, but then, you've got to take 26, and you are going to need these players.
I don't think Harry Maguire's done himself any harm over the last 2 games, actually.
No, the number 10 position for me is scary fault.
That is not, well...
Has Cole Palmer done enough in this England, in the last 2 camps, to warrant being on the plane?
This is what annoys me about you. Why the last... It's not just these last 2 games. It's the last year.
Well, he ain't played.
So for England, I'm talking about.
Yeah, but he's hardly played for Chelsea.
The last year, that's what Thomas Tuchel will look at. Not just Cole Palmer, all of them. It's not just the last 2 games. If you take the last 2 games...
Yeah, but Cole Palmer needed to turn up for England this 2 camps and stake his claim.
Yeah, and
he hasn't.
Well, he hasn't done enough. None of them have. I mean, there are 1 or 2 players you look at and think... I think, in all honesty, as I mentioned, Harry Maguire, I don't think's done himself any harm. I think Garner's done himself any harm.
Are we going to go to a World Cup with Harry Maguire and Jordan Henderson?
We might do, yeah.
I mean, we're going on like we're favourites, right? Honestly.
Who says we're favourites?
Well, everyone likes to think we are. Everyone likes to think we are.
It's all about what you do when you... I've seen so many of this. I can go back over managers over the last 20 years where this same conversation comes around. None of this matters, right? You want to go into it in a positive mood. And Stuart Pearce summed it up. This is a reality check, okay? We're a good team. We can be a very, very good team. We're not a brilliant team. But it's about getting to the USA. The 2 warm-up games...
We should be a brilliant team.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
2 minutes past 1. Good afternoon. Here are your sports headlines with Alexander Isak back in training and in contention to face City after more than 3 months out. Can the £125 million Swede turn his Anfield fortunes around? Gabi Agbondohor says yes.
Once he gets up to fitness, maybe right at the end of the season, we'll see him back to some of his best. But definitely next season, Ali, a good pre-season, and I'm sure he'll be back to the Isak that we know. And hopefully he can go and have a good World Cup as well, since Sweden qualified.
Liverpool versus City is live on talkSPORT on Saturday at lunchtime. What about Deontay Wilder? How much of his long-famed devastation does he have left ahead of facing Derek Chisora at the O2 this weekend? One of Wilder's most recent nemesis, Simon Jordan, says Wilder deserves huge respect, but he's a shell of the fighter that fought Fury in 2019.
On a personality level, he is not the same charismatic, energetic, vital man that came in and sat with you. That's a different animal.
Far from it, Sam.
And he's going to get beat on Saturday. And if you're asking what he is, bomb squad, no, this is wet fart. He's going to get knocked out.
All that being said, Tony Bellew thinks Wilder's unique skill set can never be counted out.
Simon Jordan was saying that, he hasn't seen Deontay Wilder throw meaningful punch in 12 months, and I get his point there, I really do. But at the same time, he only needs one punch, lads. He's a one-trick pony, but I'm not going to lie, it's a hell of a trick.
Chisora's first trainer, John Oliver, agrees with Bellew that Chisora must retire after the fight, and Tiger Woods has been allowed to leave the US for medical treatment following his arrest on suspicion of driving under the influence. Woods is stepping back from golf to focus on his health and will not captain the USA at next year's Ryder Cup.
talkSPORT News.
The funeral director has admitted to preventing the burials of 30 people at his funeral home in Hull, and the 4 astronauts who have blasted off towards the moon are said to be doing well. Find out more about that with Emma at 1:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Keep spring journeys safe. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com to book your tyres, MOTs and servicing so you can drive away happy every time.
Dry and bright for most of us. Cloud and rain spreading into the northwest later. Snow on Scottish hills, turning windy with possible coastal gales, but average temperatures.
Good afternoon, this is Max Scott sitting in for Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you until 4 here on talkSPORT. What we got coming up this afternoon, Andy?
Well, coming up over the next 3 hours, Max, former Chelsea defender Scott Minto joins us to discuss whether Enzo Fernandez has really upset his teammates. He hasn't. Heavyweight boxer Johnny Fisher will be with us to look ahead to Chisora versus Wilder on talkSPORT this weekend. And we'll ask former Man City defender Danny Mills if Pep Guardiola could be off this summer.
Indeed. We'll also have more of Andy's nonsense by numbers. Tim Vickery will talk all things South American football. And Todd Macklin will bring his American sports roundup a day earlier than usual.
There's all this, plus we'll ask if the women's game has a problem with refereeing. We'll look ahead to a full schedule in the EFL tomorrow. And we'll bring you clips of the month.
It is 6 minutes past 1, Andy. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Andy.
Good afternoon, Max. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Late call-up, it was.
It was. You were about to have a haircut.
My Thursday mornings are my favourite part of the week, actually, because I have my show on the social on talkSPORT 2. It starts at 3.
All right.
So I tend to get in at about 1. So I've got the whole morning for myself. The cupboards were a bit bare, bar a couple of punnets of eggs. So I had 4 hard-boiled eggs.
Oh, blimey.
I was in my briefs and sat on my nice sofa watching talkSPORT on smart TV, funnily enough, which you can do if you fancy it.
Oh, yeah.
And I get the call from Sean saying, can you come in, please? We need you.
Yeah.
And so I put my new trousers on that I buy from my sort of freak websites.
You did ask me about that, yeah.
Do you like them?
I do. They're very nice, yeah.
And so it's been a good morning, but I did miss a haircut. Quite crucially.
Yeah, but it's looking all right. It's not too bad. And I know you wanted to discuss Artemis, the moon rocket thing. It's not really something we do on talkSPORT, though I am prepared to open a phone in. Hello, lads. Love the show. I preferred the Apollo mission.
I would love to get a phone in 03717223344. Why haven't we landed on the moon in 60 years? Yeah. This isn't a conspiracy. I'm sure we did it in the 60s, despite the fact the footage is a little bit grainy, Andy. But I want to know why it's taken 60 years. Surely Trump would want a laser beam on there, or there are some rare earth minerals that he might not have to steal from Ukraine and could just get it from the moon.
Well, if you've got an opinion about this, do call us.
Please do.
We won't take the call, but you can try. I worked it out, actually. You are amongst an esteemed group: Danny Kelly, Shabana Hearn, Natalie Sawyer, Des Kelly, Andy Goldstein, Johnny Vaughan, that was a disaster, Charlie Baker, Max Rushton, Georgie Bingham, Jason Cundy, Ronnie Arani, and Ollie Klink. That's the people.
That's top company, that.
It is.
Top company. Well, it's a delight. And, I mean, the Artemis is sort of tickling my fancy at the minute, but obviously not yours. No. So what's getting you go?
Well, watch the women's game, the Chelsea game last night. I was thinking about this as I was watching it. I used to have when Chelsea, obviously since Abramovich left, Chelsea have been pretty iffy, up and down, sometimes good, mostly bad. And I used to have the solace of the all-conquering women's team. I think, well, at least they're winning. At least I can sit down and enjoy this. Now they've started losing as well. I know. It's great, isn't it? Thanks very much. But it was. We'll talk about the game later. It was a good game. They gave it a go, Chelsea. The refereeing. I mean, they got the thin end of the wedge over the 2 ties.
Yeah, but last night that was shocking. I mean, we talk about VAR very negatively these days, and understandably, we saw that poll that had come out sort of earlier this week. VAR had tried to tell us that 101% of football fans absolutely love VAR, which clearly wasn't the case.
That's not.
But there is a case for intervention in these sorts of situations. But surely, is there not room for a fourth official who stood right next to it to say, you can turn this over, by the way? It's so formulaic, so sanitised, that at no point can somebody say, of a higher rank, she's yanked her hair back, it's a free kick, maybe even a red card.
Well, it was a red card. But, I mean, this referee is the same referee that gave a penalty against Chelsea that was like 3 yards outside the area. I mean, you do wonder how these people keep these jobs, get these jobs. I mean, not good enough, I'd say.
Well, interestingly, the question is, is there ever going to be a world, and we're seeing it, we'll talk about it a little bit later with Todd Macklin, is there ever going to be a world where we don't need referees in certain sports, particularly in baseball, which we're going to talk with him about later, because essentially there's this new technology which, for my money, and I don't watch baseball, I don't know a lot about it, although I have seen it, it renders one of the positions of the umpires completely meaningless.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's quicker for him to make the call than it is to keep going to replay. I mean, blimey, that's the problem with replay. It's so stop-start. But, we'll see. Todd will have something to say about that.
And Molly Sharp, Crystal Palace forward, is going to join us to react to what happened last night in the Women's Champions League as well. So looking forward to getting her take on that. Because there has been, I think, an interesting conversation around the sort of standard of refereeing in the women's game as well. I mean, I'm not surprised because referees are always under it, aren't they? But interesting to see what she's got to say.
Game deserves better, I think, than what we've been getting. And I've been going through the preliminary stages for the World Cup. There are 72 matches in the group stages just to eliminate 12 teams. I mean, it's absolutely stupid. Is it 12 or 16 teams? 16 teams will go. And some of the games I definitely won't be watching. 3 a.m. in the morning, South Korea versus Czech Republic. Is that one for you?
Well, I might be up, you see, because I'm going to be working some early hours. I might even be hosting it. Who knows? So I'll have to feign interest in that one.
Canada versus Bosnia for me, June the 12th. That's a must. Iran versus New Zealand. New Zealand versus Egypt. Well, anything involving New Zealand, Egypt, and Iran, I won't be watching any.
Oh, Chris Wood, I'll be watching that.
Oh, no, thanks. Spain versus Cape Verde. Well, I quite like Spain. I don't think I'll watch Saudi Arabia versus Uruguay. No, there's so many. I worked it out. There's 26 games I definitely won't be watching.
Well, this is what you get when you expand a tournament and essentially make any qualifying round sort of totally useless. Sweden have qualified for the World Cup and they finished bottom of their group and have gone through a sort of Nations League side door. I mean, it's incredible. And fair enough to Graham Potter, I know you're his biggest fan, Andy, and fair enough to Vic Gyökeres, Anthony Elanga, formerly of the Nottingham Forest parish. Fair play, they've gone and done it. But 72 matches. Is there a point where, and this isn't the place to say it on talkSPORT, but is there a point where there's too many games?
Yeah, we've reached it. Of course, we've reached it. We all know that, but we just go along with it. Look, it's a World Cup. There'll be some good football. Of
course there will. But, and there'll be, I don't know, there'll be some screamers. There'll be some crazy games where 2 goals are scored in stoppage time. And we might look back and say, wish I'd have watched that. Can I just say?
Oh, yes, I wish I'd watched Turkey v Paraguay for those last two goals in extra time.
We live in hope, Andy, mate.
Well,
we live in hope. But on Chris Wood, my dad saw him in the tailor yesterday in Nottingham.
Oh, yeah.
My dad's gone to get a suit made or a jacket, I don't know.
Does he have the same problem with trousers that you do?
Well, yeah, but he because he's been working all his life, he's got enough money to be able to pay for a tailored jacket. He said he saw Chris Wood in there.
Swipe me.
And Chris Wood, according to my dad, could well be fit for the Aston Villa game after... So Chris Scott understands that Chris Wood might be making a huge return to Nottingham Forest to save us from relegation.
Never mind the suit he was buying. So that's good. So Chris was happy to speak to him. Forest have missed him. I was thinking about this, though. Everyone presumes that Forest are safe now because they beat Spurs. They got that great result. But, you know, they're not, are they?
No, we're not. No, of course not.
It can all change in one weekend, can't it?
Just in the way it did when Forest went to Tottenham and beat them 3-0.
So it's going to go right down to the wire. So it'll be interesting.
And we're going to need all the help we can get on that one. Absolutely.
What's the Forest next game?
Forest next game, we've got Villa at home.
I think you just said
huge game. Then Burnley at home, then Sunderland away. So back-to-back home games. I think Forest are going to have to get... If Forest can get 5 points from those 3 games, and for a team that hasn't won back-to-back league games all season, that's a big ask.
It is.
If we can get 5 points from that, I think that we are then safe. But of course, the De Zerbi stuff, which I'm sure we'll touch on at some point today, adds a bit of a spanner in the works.
It's true.
So, well, welcome to Scott and Jacobs today. Paul Hawksbee, I'm sure we'll be back with you tomorrow. But coming up next, we're going to...
back tomorrow because it's Good Friday.
Of course it isn't. Well, someone else will be. And they'll do a great job.
Someone will be here.
I tell you what, it's live EFL tomorrow. And then you can listen to me and Cundy for an EFL phone-in at 5:30 tomorrow. Nice. So wall-to-wall Max Scott with... Jason Cundy, who looks like Action Man at the minute. Coming up next, though, we're going to talk to former Chelsea defender Scott Minto and find out if Enzo Fernandez has really upset his Chelsea teammates. You're listening to Hawksbee and Baker and Jacobs, oh God forbid, on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Grab an extra 10% off selected Karcher pressure washers. Absolute belting piece of kit until the 7th of April, subject to availability. T's and C's.
A bit of Adam Brazil style editor rising there.
Next up, Toolstation.
So tell us, Adam, what was it like working with Roberto? Because obviously you worked under some great managers, Klopp, as you know, we all know how great he was. So where do you put Roberto as a coach, and what he helped you develop your game?
Right up there with the top. I always compared him with Jurgen. Actually, probably just the passion that they both possess for the game. I think kind of tactically and game model wise, they're completely different. But in terms of like love and passion for football, they're exactly the same.
Adam, as an interest, I've got to read you a quote, if I may, from your teammate back in the day, Lewis Dunk, in 2023. He said this about De Zerbi, and I quote, "Since the new coach arrived, I see football in a completely different way." He said, "But the initial transition was carnage and confusion." So I get it totally. It maybe took a little bit of time for him to get his message over. The one worrying thing for Tottenham fans, he doesn't have a lot of time to get that over, though.
No, I think listen, Roberto's an extremely smart man. He'll know that he's not got time to play a certain way, a certain style, and he won't be snobbish to not understand that. He knows he's got to go in there, motivate a group of men, and luckily for Roberto, he might not know that, but he's one of the most inspirational managers people there is, in my opinion.
Good afternoon, you're listening to Hawksbee Jacobs with me, Max Scott and Andy Jacobs, where we've already ascertained that all I've eaten today are 4 hard-boiled eggs. And Andy isn't going to be tuning into Iran versus New Zealand in one of the 72 group games of the World Cup this summer. But
isn't it?
We're going to change tack to a topic that Andy, I'm sure, will enjoy very much, which is Chelsea. Seemingly falling apart at the seams, whether it's questions about Enzo Maresca's sacking, whether it's questions about the suitability of Liam Rosenior, or whether it's a number of the litany of players that seemingly are asking for a move to Real Madrid or Barcelona. But we're going to start with Alan McCoy and Gabby Agbonlahor.
Slight exaggeration, but anyway, go on.
Who are back on breakfast this morning discussing Enzo Fernandez's recent comments about Madrid. Gabby thinks the Chelsea vice-captain needs to keep his mouth shut.
There's a few boys, particularly in international duty, they go away and then they get caught.
They forget, don't they,
yeah,
their place?
They do. They think that, that these comments won't get back to their mother clubs and things like that. So,
I'll say something, Gaddy, though, and Angelina. Real Madrid aren't paying 100 million for Enzo Fernandez.
No chance.
I'll tell you that now. So you better shut up. Unless he wants to go to Atletico Madrid. I'd shut up, be quiet, and help your team get back into the Champions League.
Yeah.
Is he getting into that Real Madrid team?
No,
I don't think he is.
No, Ali.
I don't think they're at their best, this Real Madrid team. I still think they're obviously one of, if not the biggest club in the world. But I don't see him getting into that team at this moment in time.
Camavinga, Ximeni, Valverde. I don't think he gets in.
What a load of rubbish, honestly. This is a bloke World Cup winner. What are you talking about? He's an absolutely brilliant player. Yeah, they're talking absolute nonsense.
So you think he's getting in that Real Madrid team?
Of course he's getting in that Real Madrid team. He can get into any team. He's a brilliant player. You know, he's having to deal with a difficult situation at Chelsea. But him, personally, he's had a very good season.
How do you feel as a Chelsea fan that he's openly talking about his
right.
desire to move?
He's absolutely 100% right. Yeah, of course. And also the other thing, the rubbish thing they said there was, they go away and they don't really. He knows exactly what he was saying. You know, he gave that interview and he knew exactly the effect it would have. Now it's up to Liam Rosenior to show the other players that he's strong manager, because he shouldn't pick him. Having dissed the club like that, if you're really the strong manager, you don't pick him. If you try and sort of like, you know, but then again,
do you think Liam Rosenior's got the bottle to do that, to strip him of his vice captaincy?
No.
And obviously he's been playing as captain because Reece James is injured. Do you think that he's got it in him to do that?
No.
And I don't think anybody does.
No, and I do think that we should bring in Scott, because I'm not sure entirely that the other players are angry with him. I think first of all, I don't think footballers are like that. I don't think they do get, and I think they probably think he's right.
Well, let's bring in former Chelsea defender Scott Minto. Scott, how are you doing, mate? And what do you make of the whole sort of drama surrounding Enzo Fernandez and his comments about Real Madrid, etc.?
Yeah, hi Max, hi Andy. Max, I can't see you. Have you made sure that anybody you interview, because you haven't had your hair cut today, that we can't look at you?
I've specifically requested not to show my hair. Oh, there it is.
Already the diva. Love that, mate. Look, I'll be honest with you, I couldn't agree more with Andy. I mean, from a personal point of view, if I'm a teammate, let's say I'm the left back. Well, hold on a minute. Marco Correa is saying something similar as well. You know, I'm looking at it and thinking, well, okay, you know, even if you sort of have a bit of a dig at him in the dressing room, it doesn't affect the morale of the group at all in any way. I think he's looking at the bigger picture here. He was asked a question, you know, what's your future? He said, I don't know. Let's get the season done. Let's do the World Cup and we'll see what happens. I think one thing we do all have to realise, as much as we all love the Premier League, and especially if you're from England, Britain, or even Northern Europe, we think the Premier League is the number one place to be. The South Americans look at La Liga and Real Madrid and Barcelona as the place to play and also to live in as well. So I'm not surprised by that. But clearly there's a bigger picture here as well, though. And it's one thing for the fans to say it. It's another thing for ex-players to say it, like John Terry, Jerry Cole, John Obi Mikel, myself included as well. But when the current players are saying we need leaders in this group, you know, Marco Correa, I said it to Danny Kelly a couple of weeks ago, actually. You know, you're 2-2 in Paris. You're more than holding your own. You make a mistake. You make sure you go back home to the bridge and it's 3-2, not 5-2.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're chasing the game. And what happens within 6 minutes? One of your youngsters makes a mistake. I'm sorry, you're never going to come back from that. So I actually don't think they're a million miles away. I'm not 100% negative about Chelsea at the moment.
Just, Scott, on the Enzo Fernandez comments, there's a piece in the Telegraph today essentially saying that there are players unhappy in the dressing room about his comments, about some of his conduct.
I just don't believe that. I just think that's a club briefing.
If you're a Chelsea player, Andy, surely, and your teammate is saying, yeah, I would, essentially hinting at his desire to go to Real Madrid, you'd be thinking, yeah, fair enough. I mean, Chelsea are a big club, and some fans might not like him saying that, but we're talking about Real Madrid. Why is it why would it be a surprise to these players? I can't understand why they would be frustrated. Obviously, it's Real Madrid.
This is what this ownership, this is what these sporting directors do. They brief. They've got their favourite journalists, and you know when Maresca left, basically it was all his fault. You know, but it can't have been because he didn't get the support. Then none of that comes out. I've personally had enough of them. They need to really change their philosophy and the way they're going about things because it isn't working for me.
Scott, you mentioned that you still think that there's sort of embers of hope at Chelsea. You've not given up on Liam Rosenior. I personally love the fact that we've got a young British manager in one of the top clubs. I think the continent do it much better. The reason Ruben Amorim got the huge job at Man United, yes, it didn't work out, was because he was given a chance by top flight teams, right? So I like it on paper, but I must say, I think it was Kevin Kilban, his former teammate, said something along the lines of he feels that Liam Rosenior's got this air of somebody that swallowed a sort of psychology or leadership book and is just regurgitating it. And I hate to admit it, but I do feel that there's something in that. Now, I don't know Liam Rosenior. He obviously has got he talks very articulately. But do you feel that this international break's such a massive learning curve for him to maybe come out and be a little bit more direct, stop huddling around the football and all that sort of nonsense? Do you still think he can turn this around?
Right. Well, first of all, Max, I can see you now, and yeah, boy, you need a haircut, mate. No, only joking.
Look. Go on.
Yeah, I think it's a big summer coming up. I genuinely think there's some extremely talented players there who care and want to win trophies with Chelsea Football Club. But I've said this for a long, long time now. They're lacking leaders. Yes, they have experienced players. Enzo Fernandez has won the World Cup, but I don't see him as a leader. I don't even think he's fluent in English. Reece James, he's a world-class right back, arguably the best right back in the world, but I don't see him as a leader. There's not the leaders that there were. And I think if you get those almost three key positions, three leaders, a goalkeeper, centre-half, and another striker, just to take the load off Joao Pedro, we can't rely on him all the time, then I think it can change. But I do worry about it. And you look at Mauricio Pochettino, what would you say about him as a person? The word I'd probably use is charming, and yet he fell out with the hierarchy. Enzo Maresca should have been pinching himself that he was given the job of Chelsea head coach. And actually, I thought he did a really good job, and yet he's walked out. What is it about working at Chelsea right now that even people are either get on with people or should feel lucky they're in the job, seem to walk out? And that's the big problem. And there's a big summer coming up, not just to try and get those three key players, but also to keep their best players.
Simon Jordan said to me the other day, he said, Badad Eghbali is the cleverest man he's ever met. Oh, blimey, I could lose 262 million. Who couldn't do that? I could waste $1.5 billion without buying a goalkeeper, a centre half, and a centre forward. I mean, seriously, the way they fall out with people, the way even with Jackson. I mean, I think Cole Palmer's missed Jackson. I think he's missed his runs, but they just fell out. They just decided he wasn't good enough, and that's it. Now he's never coming back. They brought in Delap, but he hasn't done the business, has he? They seem to be, yes, you're right, Scott. They bought some good players. They've got some good players, but boy, have they made some mistakes. They have made a lot of mistakes.
Do you know what? It's very unusual that we can have a go at owners for spending too much money, but they are clearly, they're multi-billionaires. They're incredibly intelligent, incredibly successful, and the way they've got around buying players who other clubs wanted, getting on long contracts, finding a different way to do things is incredibly intelligent. But to win major trophies, you need a blend of youth, but really you need senior pros in that team and in that squad, not just on a game to game, but a day to day at the training ground. How you hold yourself, how you train, absolutely. And I don't want to harp back to the John Terry, Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba, because there's not many of those around in the world. But there is a list of good players, experienced players in those key positions that if they wanted to, I believe they could get there. And I genuinely think if they were able to get those three players, then I think Chelsea would be challenging at the very top.
They could have had the France international goalkeeper, Maignan, at the start of the season. He was available for 12 million, but he didn't fit their wage structure, so they didn't buy him. But that's just negligent. That is absolutely wrong. You've got to say, well, you're not paying a lot. He's worth a lot more than 12 million. So surely you can come up with some sort of deal that works. I just thought that was really poor that they didn't go for him. And, the whole goalkeeping situation has really cost them dearly, I think, in the last...
We've known for years that Chelsea might have bought some great young talents on paper, the likes of Cole Palmer, the likes of Esteval, but we've known they've needed experience. And it seems to me that because if you buy an older player with more experience, they're not a saleable asset 5 years down the line.
No, of course.
And so they're avoiding that.
No, that's exactly what they've done.
So the idea of negligence, I think, resonates with a lot of Chelsea fans. Scott, thank you so much for joining us, mate. We'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Brilliant stuff.
I mean, the next 7 games are crucial for Rosenior. I mean, if he doesn't win at least, I'd say 5 of them, I think he's in trouble because Chelsea won't qualify for Europe. They probably, and if they end up in the conference, that's even worse.
Well, that he's got the damning seal of approval. I mean, we saw Sir Jim Ratcliffe say he's giving Ruben Amorim 3 years. 3 months later, he's gone.
Yeah, well,
and Chelsea saying that they're going to give Liam Rosenior till the end of next season.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Well, I find that really difficult when you look at the sort of pattern of play from Chelsea. But, of course, we will see what happens there. Right, coming up next, we're going to speak to heavyweight boxer Johnny Fisher, head of a huge fight between Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder this weekend, live on talkSPORT and DAZN.
All right, Cundy.
Hello, matey.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
How you feeling?
I'm all right. I'm okay, yeah.
Gone well?
Yes, so for those that don't know, the hair transplant last Thursday.
Yep.
A couple of days off.
Yeah.
Back in today.
You're looking well, mate. You look well.
So far.
You look hard.
Well, well, the head's been shaved, right? So there's always got the image, haven't you? Like I'm a bit of a thug.
Yeah, you look like you're going to be on like Football Factory or something.
Yeah. But look, it went well. It's such a weird process. I mean, you're in the chair for about 8.5 hours. It's all done.
I mean, that's hell for you, right? You can't.
Oh, mate. Well, they gave me. I fell asleep halfway through it. They gave me sedatives. Yes, I struggle to sit still, mate. But
struggle.
I struggle to sit.
Impossible.
Still. Yes, but they're sedatives, mate. They work their magic. But here we go. So the beginning.
Mate, I like it.
Well, we'll see.
It's the new Cundy.
The new version.
The new version of.
New improved. Don't know about that.
It looks all right, mate. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, well, look, big shout out to the Wimpole Clinic. Thank you very much for what they did. And we'll see the results, mate, over the next coming 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
You've got to have a haircut, mate. What's the haircut look? What's the trim? You
don't know.
Quiff?
Don't know what I'm going to go for, mate.
You look all right with the old skin.
Yes, I'm not having a hair transplant and then looking like this.
No?
I'm not. No, you don't have a hair transplant and shave your head.
It's all right, though.
Well, for the time being, I've got no choice. Yeah. I've got no choice. This is how it's going to be. All right, so there you go.
You're making me die.
Yeah, it's a bit. I mean, did it hurt? Obviously, during the operation, it's very weird, or during the procedure, very weird.
After more than 3 months on the sidelines, Alexander Isak is expected to make the Liverpool bench against City on Saturday. And talkSPORT's Gabby Abonglahor reckons Isak will get straight back into the starting 11 when he's fully fit and can see slots going with a 3-5-2.
Frimpong and Kirkers as wing-backs. Yeah. They've got is it Leone, the centre-half, and we're back, hopefully.
The French lads.
Yes, maybe bring in another centre-half, the three in the middle, and Ekatike and Isak as two centre-forward.
Elsewhere at City, Thomas Tuchel has said Phil Foden's World Cup place is not guaranteed. Now, Tiger Woods will leave the US for medical treatment following his arrest on suspicion of driving under the influence. Woods is stepping back from golf to focus on his health and will not captain Team USA at next year's Ryder Cup. Four-time major winner Dame Laura Davies doesn't think her hero needs to keep driving.
That's the only thing I'd question, but the pain side of it, I cannot even imagine the pain the man's in. So I'm so pleased to hear that. Sounds like he's really addressing it now.
And Tony Bellew has backed Derek Chisora to beat Deontay Wilder this weekend.
Simon Jordan was saying that, he hasn't seen Deontay Wilder throw meaningful punch in 12 months, and I get his point there, I really do. But he only needs one punch, lads. He's a one-trick pony, but I'm not going to lie, it's a hell of a trick.
Loads more on talkSPORT's boxing YouTube channel.
build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder this Saturday, only on DAZN. Buy now at DAZN.com.
It's going to be...
We're not going to talk about him
But
at
you-
all.
but as part
We're
of
not going to talk about him at all.
Okay, stop
Man,
shouting
let
at
me get the out of here, bro. I'm out of here.
Please welcome the hard-hitting...
Tell him to sue me so I can show the facts early.
Reigning and defending...
So much
The bronze bomber...
I know the truth. I have the facts.
Deontay lays out Luis Ortiz! That laser right hand from Wilder! Deontay Wilder is so exciting!
April the 4th is going down. At O2, you better be there.
Yeah, this Saturday, an icon will fall as Derek Chisora collides with the bronze bomber Deontay Wilder live on talkSPORT and DAZN. So let's look ahead to the big fight now with DAZN. Wilder spoke to our very own Gareth A. Davis and Spencer Oliver yesterday and told us why we should tune in on Saturday night.
Well, this is the time. This is the moment. I'm in the right place. I have the right opponent with Derek Chisora, you know, and this is going to be an amazing fight. Both of our 50th fight. We're coming with everything. I'm coming with all I have. He's coming with everything he have. And this is going to be a great fight. I'm looking forward to the heel version of Deontay Wilder. Many people wanted to see him because they missed him, you know, and I couldn't deliver many a times because of various of reasons. But I could say I am healed at this moment in time, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So here we go, baby. Saturday night at the O2 Arena, there will be fireworks.
Cool. I've never heard anything less convincing. There will be fireworks. It didn't sound like they're going to be fireworks.
Well,
it sounds worrying to me at this fight. I mean, it'll be intriguing because Chisora's a fascinating bloke, but you have to worry about Wilder.
Yeah, I mean that's the point. I want to put to somebody is, look, the bronze bomber. We know that he can whack. We know that this is either way. I think is going to be a devastating fight, whichever way you look at it. I'm backing Chisora to win the fight, but part of the reason, Andy, is because I'm seeing on my social media feed, call it unsavoury, call it concerning, call it emotional clips of Deontay Wilder, and rightly you've got to sort of wonder, is he in a fit state to fight? And that's why I think Derek Chisora, this sort of battle-hardened fighter, I think he's gonna.
Yeah, he looks laid back. I think he knows he can win this fight. So we'll see. But look, there's interest in the fight. So but it's slightly worrying. And if he loses Wilder, that really should be it. I think for him.
We just heard on White and Jordan. I think Spencer Oliver's uncle. His Derek Chisora's first ever coach, obviously played a huge role in Derek Chisora's career. I'm sure he wants it to be Chisora's last fight. He's gone so far. He's had such a sort of a career. Do you think it's going to be it, or do you think that he'll just sort of carry on?
You can't tell with Derek. He's quite a character. So we'll wait and see.
He is indeed. Right, that was a look ahead to Chisora versus Wilder with DAZN. Don't forget you can watch it live this Saturday, only on DAZN by now at DAZN.com, or you can listen to it right here on talkSPORT.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder this Saturday, only on DAZN. Buy now at DAZN.com.
Delighted to say now we are joined by talkSPORT's very own inimitable boxing expert, Gareth A. Davis. Gareth, how are you, mate? Good to see you. I don't know if you have sort of overheard Andy and I's conversation, but I mean, of course, it goes without saying this fight is going to be entertaining. It's going to be blockbuster for the viewers. But some of the clips that we've seen of Deontay Wilder, I think, has raised concerns about whether he's in a fit state. You interviewed him, I think, yesterday, maybe even this morning. What do you make of that concern?
Well, first of all, I'll clarify. I listen to every single conversation you and Andy have. I've got a direct line to the green room, so I hear everything you've got to say.
The omniscient Gareth A. Davis.
For over 25 years, and he is a genius. I just want you to know that. Apart from that, Deontay Wilder is in a very emotionally volatile place. I mean, I can't repeat some of the things he said on Piers Morgan, but He is extraordinarily open about things at the moment. And I think that could go one of two ways on Saturday night. This is the biggest moment he's had since his 3 fights with Tyson Fury. Forget the loss to Zhile Zhang and Joseph Parker, which kind of upended him in a certain way. This is the gateway to him leaving the sport in a very powerful way with some big resonant nights, not to mention the fight with Anthony Joshua, which will come up and happen if he can get Derek out of there. I sat, like you say, I was with Deontay yesterday afternoon. I was with him the day before. Physically, he feels like there's a great presence about him. Whether that can translate, and there's a mood about him that I quite like, and a seriousness about him that I quite like. But then I see moments where I see a fragility in some ways, mentally and emotionally. And I think you're right to pick up on it.
But Derek, he looks confident and he's a great character, and we both fancied him to win this fight.
Yeah, I do see Derek, gents, as a marginal favourite. I mean, Deontay has never been the best boxer in the world. With his 97% knockout rate in his victories, he is one of the most dangerous heavyweights of all time. He is a giant human being, by the way. He's kind of a beanpole physically. He's actually more slightly built than you, Max. You know, he's actually, you're a big kind of stout fella. You've got size about you and breadth. He's just a very long, powerful...
I hope you're not pitting me up against the bronze bomber. If he loses against Chisora, I ain't got a chance.
Notice he hasn't said I'm tall and lithe.
I wouldn't make you favourite.
No, I would agree.
You might make him miss a few times, you know?
Yeah, because I'd be out the ring. but I mean, do you think he's still got that power, Gareth? I mean, you're talking about, obviously, we know he can whack, but his career hasn't necessarily, over the last couple of years, been the way he would have wanted it to be. So at what point in a fighter's career do you say, you know, he's too old, he's lost his power, is his chin the same? How much attrition has he taken in that trilogy against Tyson Fury? I guess we don't know, but what's your read on that, having been with him and seen him in training, giving it the bronze bomber? I'm not going to imitate him, but I guess...
That's good. We'd have to dump that, I'm afraid.
Appearing to be his sort of, his former self, in a sense.
It's like the magician and his nephew in the studio today, because, you know, Andy is 3 times older than you for a start. I'm twice as old.
What, you at 99?
Listen, you two are a great combo. I've been really enjoying the show today. I hasten to add, I'm not being funny with you. It's a brilliant show with you two. Look, we know that he's nearly 40. I mean, to put it in crude terms, he's about to enter his 5th decade as a human being. You shouldn't really be carrying on boxing in the heavyweight division where one punch can render you useless in the fight. He's at a very dangerous stage in his career. He's dipping into dangerous waters where Derek Chisora is admitting, certainly off the record to me, and I think he may have another fight if he looks amazing, that I don't have it in me anymore, Gareth. That guy who said you'd have to put me in a coffin when I'm gone and nail the coffin down deep with more nails, and I'd still crawl out of the ground and fight. He told me this earlier this week, and it's in our boxing YouTube channel interview, that's gone. Deontay won't give up that bronze bomber, that destructive fighter, Dr. Sleeper as he was known. He won't give that up yet because something's still disturbing. He doesn't like the last 2 beatings up from Tyson Fury that took an awful lot out of him. He cannot countenance the fact that Joseph Parker outmauled him for 12 rounds, that Zhile Zhang ran him over like a herd of buffalo in Riyadh. And it really did look like a herd of buffalo running him over.
Yeah.
He's had one victory in the meantime. He is looking for redemption on Saturday night. Now, if he can find it, he'll fight on. If he can't find it, it is over. Simple as that. The last time a fighter got to 50 fights, it's an extraordinary thing for modern heavyweights to get to 50 fights. I can remember was Vladimir Klitschko, and he was a very defensive fighter in the last 20.
Yeah, well, you say, Gareth, he's clinging on to the bronze bomber. I get the impression that either one of these fighters is going to have to call it a day after this fight. Gareth A. Davis, thank you so much for joining us. We will speak to you very soon. Don't forget, you can watch Chisora Wilder this Saturday on DAZN or listen to it right here on talkSPORT. Coming up next, we'll speak to former Hull FC close forward Paul Cook ahead of the rivals round this weekend in the Super League.
The same Vinay Venkatesham, who was lauding and applauding Daniel Levy there. He blamed Levy for the club's issues at a fan advisory board meeting. Insufficient focus across the organisation on-pitch success, a lack of specialist expertise in certain areas, and insufficient empowerment of experts in others. A growing disconnect between the club and its supporters base. But 3 months before that, Daniel, I don't know how you do it.
It's like
what?
It's like wedding vows, isn't
That
it?
shows you the calibre, doesn't it? I don't doubt the man is a commercially adept operator. But the king is dead. Long live the king. I had one of those in Phil Alexander, who was a treacherous hound as well. And in this instance, you've got people
you didn't name
not
them,
leaders. Not leaders. That's not a leader. That's not a leader. That's not a leader. First of all,
Venkatesham?
Yeah, what a fawning, pitiful, sycophantic exhibition of absolute ghastliness, right, which was then spun on its head 6 months later because his new masters have suggested something different. I mean, that doesn't smack to me of any one single scintilla of integrity, does it you? For me...
Integrity or sincerity.
Yeah, I mean, listen...
And I met Vinay, and I thought he was a delightful
He's an operator.
fella.
I'm sure
But
he's an
then-
operator. I want leaders. It's not a leader. You don't run with a hare and hump with the hounds as a leader. You have definite views. Yeah, you adjust your information and you pivot. And he may well have found some awful bodies in the building, metaphorically speaking, that subsequently explain this massive seed.
The talkSPORT 20k giveaway.
Yes, we're giving you the chance to win a life-changing £20,000 completely tax-free here on talkSPORT. That's £20,000 straight into your bank account. Spend it, save it, splash it. It's entirely up to you. Here's how to enter.
It's great. Imagine if we did have to tell them how to spend the money. Of course, it's up to them. Anyway, for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343 418 7260. Lines closed 9th of April 2026, 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. For your chance to win £20,000, text WIN to 83338 right now.
Indeed, £20,000. Andy Jacobs will not be telling you how to spend it. But now, Easter, of course, is on the horizon. And for those who follow Super League, that means one thing and one thing only. It is Rivals Round Weekend. 6 games from Good Friday to Easter Sunday, including 2 live commentaries on talkSPORT 2. Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff, Warrington Wolves versus Lee Leopards with Craig Murdoch and Paul Cook. Then Sunday, 3 p.m, Castleford Tigers and Wakefield Trinity on talkSPORT 2. Delighted to say one of our commentary team who will be bringing you that on Sunday is Paul Cook, former Hull FC and Hull KR loose. Paul, how are you? You've got a bit of history with moving from one team to the other. Tell us a little bit how that was heading into Rivals Weekend.
Yeah, fun, that is for sure. I managed to play one derby game for Hull FC in 2007 before crossing the divide, crossing the river and starting my career with Hull KR. And a month later, we played down in Cardiff in the Magic Weekend, as it was then. And unfortunately for me, we managed to get a result for Hull KR too. So as I've told many people this weekend, I played 9 derbies. I managed to get 8 of them, so I did have the last laugh.
Happy
That's
days.
good. Super League are brilliant at this, Paul, aren't they? The marketing of the game, and there's some really juicy fixtures here.
Yeah, there is. There's some huge fixtures. None more, Lee against Warrington in Warrington on Saturday with myself and Craig on talkSPORT 2 is a huge game. Lee hadn't been travelling so good. Warrington first lost last weekend. Then obviously you've got the big games, including the derby, which is back this weekend in Bradford and Leeds, which was a huge fixture when I was playing.
Yeah.
The Wigan Saints won, the Hull KR one, they speak for themselves. And obviously the French one over in France, the Toulouse team travel to Catalan as well, which will be a big game for the French.
Yeah, St Helens Wigan, that's always a classic, right? I've got a friend who supports St Helens, and this is the game he looks forward to, I think, the most.
Yeah, I think everybody that's from Saints and Wigan, Hull KR, Leeds, Bradford, they'll look for the Good Friday game, obviously, to get the tickets as soon as possible. It's always been a fixture I was envious of, in terms of being at Hull FC and Hull KR, because them 2 teams have been at the top of the table for so long in Saints and Wigan. So it was a different intensity and a different speed of game than what I was used to, I guess, in the Hull and Hull KR games. But yeah, huge games for both Wigan and Saints this weekend.
On that Leeds-Bradford derby, after sort of 12 years away, does it still hold the same sort of weight as a derby, or does it sort of need refreshing, need sort of picking back up as it was?
I think there'll be 13,000 at Odsall this weekend. Wow. For a team that Bradford that have only just come back into the Super League this year after a long hiatus away, obviously. I think it'll still mean the most to them 2 teams in terms of anybody internal at Bradford and Leeds. So a huge game. I've got a couple of good friends who played for me at Featherstone last year that'll be playing for Bradford. So I look forward to watching that one tomorrow.
And it was the interesting thing because they love a bit of expansion in rugby league, and now they've got 2 teams in France, which enables them to have a French derby, which over there I can imagine would be quite a juicy fixture.
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah, Toulouse have had a decent start to the season, won in round 1 at Wakefield. Have had a couple of really good results, a couple of not so good ones over the last couple of weeks. Catalans have been inconsistent too, so a huge game for both teams down in France. And I can imagine, listen, if I could travel down there and watch that one, I'd certainly go down there and watch it with the weather, that's for sure.
Not on talkSPORT's budgets, I'm afraid.
No, definitely not.
Obviously, there's no Premier League football this weekend. You said 13,000 at Leeds-Bradford. Is this typically something where, when there's no Premier League football and it's Rivals Weekend, as Andy said, they're doing a wonder with the marketing? Are you expecting bigger gates at the games?
Yeah, well, listen, there's a sellout already at Wigan and Hull KR. Hull KR need a bigger ground, there's no question about that. They're the Super League champions, and they're I think there's only 860 tickets gone to the west of Hull, which has been uproar about in the city of Hull, I can assure you. Lots of games will be sold out over this weekend. There's some huge fixtures. The big one on Saturday between Warrington and Leigh, I think, will be a cracking game. One which I'm really looking forward to be at. Then you got Wakefield and travelling to Castleford Sunday as well. That's a big game. I played in that a couple of times at the back end of my career for Wakefield. So yeah, a couple of really big fixtures.
Brilliant stuff. Paul Cook, absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for joining us. A reminder that Paul is going to be on commentary duty on talkSPORT 2 as Warrington Wolves against the Leigh Leopards. Looking forward. You're going to be tuning into that, Andy?
I will be. I love a bit of rugby league, and Paul does as well, yeah.
At this point, would you choose watching that over Chelsea?
It's a very good question. I'd choose watching anything over Chelsea at the moment, but we'll see. No, look, I don't know. I'm hoping that the break has done them some good, but if it carries on like it did, the Everton game was a disaster.
It was.
But I predicted it. I said the day before, this is going to be 3-0. It said that you cannot go to Everton. They're too good a team to go there and play the way Chelsea played, and that's exactly what happened, unfortunately. Never mind, what can you do? I've got a new guilty pleasure, I should tell you.
Go on, then.
It's been on for years. I've only just suddenly got into The Repair Shop. Do you ever watch The Repair
I do, yeah.
It's really good, isn't it?
It is good.
It's a really, really good show. But I was thinking that, when the person brings in this old whatever they want repaired, and they say, what do you want us to do with this gene? And I was thinking it'd be great if they just said, I'll put it in the skip. Take it down the dump. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, it's absolutely tosh.
It's amazing, the skill. But they do all tend to speak like that, all the people who work there. But that's fair enough, really.
Do you take Repair Shop over Antiques Roadshow?
I like both. That's a great tradition.
It is, isn't it? That theme tune is up there with Match
It's always
Day,
good.
isn't it?
And Fiona Bruce has got the best voice in broadcasting, I think.
Yeah, cracking Fiona.
Apart from you.
Thanks, mate. Don't forget, as we said, you can hear live commentary of Warrington Wolves versus Leigh Leopards live on talkSPORT on Saturday. Coming up next, and he's going to continue bringing us his usual roundup of news and nonsense.
I don't know if you saw the Italy penalties last night. Absolutely,
I did.
I didn't.
Woeful.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere in Zenica in Bosnia, I mean, they had guys with flares in the high-rise buildings next to the stadium. I mean, they gave those Italians a tough night.
Okay, Nick, look, it's easy sitting here, right, taking penalties. Been there, Ali's done it as well. But when you see the Italian penalties, and two of them, one's blasted over the bar and one hits the bar.
Yeah.
Surely if you're going to go hard, keep it low. You've got to go low. You're not playing rugby. You're not blasting it as high as you can.
Well, we saw Brennan Johnson for Wales as well do a similar thing. But one of the Bosnian players stuck his penalty in the top corner. It was absolutely perfect. So if it comes off, it's the best place to go.
Yeah, there's very few that can do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, in that moment. Would you, Al, be confident?
No, I used to just whip them back across myself.
Low and hard.
Yeah.
Low and hard was
whip them back across. You take the chance. If you lift it, if you lift it, it looks great. It goes in, but if it doesn't,
yeah.
Also, we're not going to see world-class keeper like Donnarumma. Still hasn't been to a World Cup, and he's been in that Italy side for a long time.
Unbelievable.
Do you know what? Mad stuff comes out when things like this happen, and you then go, Donnarumma is not going to go to a World Cup, and Ali says that's the third World Cup in a row they've missed. Mad.
And they've won a Euros in between.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not as if they've had a bad team. They've won a Euros in between.
That's mad, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. Really, I think it's remarkable.
Yeah, good afternoon. You're listening to Hawksbee and Jacobs with me, Max Scott, alongside Andy Jacobs. We're going to get the latest from the world of racing in a moment and some reaction to one of the most astonishing refereeing decisions of the season so far, which was last night in the Women's Champions League between Arsenal and Chelsea. But before we do that, we're going to get the sports headlines with Will Hobbs.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Thank you, Max. Good afternoon. Derek Chisora says he'll keep his promise to retire after Saturday's Deontay Wilder fight. He said it on talkSPORT's White and Jordan in front of his very first trainer, John Oliver, who says there's no good reason for Derek to continue.
Forget how people have boxed, gone too far, got hurt, end up in care homes. We don't need that anymore. We want to help our boxers.
You're listening to what John's saying here, Derek.
Yeah, that's why I said 50 and I'm out.
Tony Bellew echoes John's sentiment, if in a slightly different way.
Oh, don't start, mate. He's promised me and he swore to me he'll stop. I'm not having it if he doesn't, mate. I'll finish him myself if he doesn't stop. I'll drag him out. Lads, have a great week and don't forget.
Hey, head down and follow through, old son. Head down, follow through.
Chisora versus Wilder is live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. The build-up will be on talkSPORT too, and you can watch our coverage throughout the night on talkSPORT's boxing YouTube channel. Now, what ramifications should Vice-Captain Enzo Fernandez face for suggesting his Chelsea future is up in the air at the end of the season?
Now it's up to Liam Rosenior to show the other players that he's strong manager, because he shouldn't pick him. Having dissed the club like that, if you're really the strong manager, you don't pick him.
Do you think that he's got it in him to do that?
No.
And a Championship rugby coach has been banned for 6 matches after he was sent off for slapping a Worcester Warriors player during a game. Alan Paver, the joint head coach of Cornish Pirates, will miss the last 5 rounds of the season and a possible playoff fixture.
talkSPORT News.
A funeral director who gave bereaved families the wrong ashes has admitted 30 counts of preventing a lawful burial. And Nigel Farage sacks Reform UK's housing spokesperson for saying the Grenfell Tower fire was a tragedy, but everyone dies in the end. Emma has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The season's changing, so get your car's shim pads and studs checked for spring with a free vehicle safety check. Book in centre or at quickfit.com today.
Mostly dry this afternoon with sunny spells. Cloud and rain spread into the northwest later. Average temperatures.
Weekend preview on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. For more racing tips, check out their podcast, From the Horse's Mouth, with Ruby Walsh and our own Paddy Power. The podcast for racing fans, by racing fans. T's and C's apply. 18 plus BGambleAware.org.
Oh dear.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Hawksbee and Jacobs with me, Max Scott, in for Paul Hawksbee alongside Andy Jacobs. At the top of the show, Andy was lamenting the fact that there are 72 World Cup fixtures, listing off a few of them that he's definitely not going to be tuning in for. And Joe the Wolves fans text in saying, luckily I'm 36 and have just about grown out of it, but I said to my dad last night this would be a brutal World Cup to recreate on Sabutio. Cost a fortune to buy all the kits. So fair point if you're a Sabutio fanatic.
Oh yeah. But I when I was doing fantasy football, the first tournament we did was US 94. And because it was only basically me and another guy, I watched 51 out of the 54 matches in the World Cup, which I could never do now. But that was just 54. That was the whole World Cup, not 72 in the first phase. It's just... more is not more, it's less.
Yeah, and I hate to get on this horse again, but I do genuinely think that fixture congestion should be a concern for football fans, because regardless of how much these players get paid, and I know that people like to say, oh, well, they should play when they're asked to, when they're paid so much money. I can kind of understand where that comes from. But ultimately, you look at the minutes that someone like Jude Bellingham has played compared to Wayne Rooney at the same age, it's thousands more minutes. And so these players are just going to be shot to bits.
He's coming on later. We had a long conversation this week, and he was on the warm-up on Sunday session. And just saying that in his day, the players were fitter. The training was harder than the matches. He says now the matches are harder than the training, and that's the big difference.
Well, sure. I mean, whatever way you look at it, I just think particularly when you don't have a winter break in this country, no wonder we've not gone on and, and won a major trophy, because I just think some of these
we were
players
saying
play
this
too much
yesterday.
football,
Absolutely
particularly
true.
been in the
Yeah,
in
no,
the
no
Club
question
World Cup.
about it.
Anyway, we're going to shift our focus now to women's football, because in the Women's Champions League, if you've not seen it, well, don't watch it now, but after this, go and find it on social media. A baffling decision made by the referee against in that Champions League tie between Arsenal and Chelsea.
I don't say anything. I think you've jumped 10 minutes. Aren't we doing my bits and Paddy? We shouldn't do this on air, really, but am I right or wrong? Have I gone
we
mad?
have. I've been so keen to talk about this. I'm desperate to get into this.
Shall I then do it? And I thought, no,
don't.
I can't.
Well, let's get a little bit more from the world of racing, shall we?
It feels really special, old Ryan, now.
Sorry, Ryan. Ryan McHugh from Paddy Power with all the latest news and odds. Ryan, what have you got for us this week?
I thought you were going to ask me my thoughts on the Women's Champions League, lads, and I was thinking, this what I'm on for?
It could be.
Shocking shout there, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. 9 races on ITV this Saturday, lads, both from Musselburgh and Haydock. We've flat racing at Musselburgh and jump racing at Haydock, so we'll start with the jumps at Haydock. We're paying an extra place in the 2:12 race. The one I like in it is 7-2 favourite currently, We're Red and Blue. He's his side slightly lowered after cracking third in the Imperial Cup at Sandown last time. He races off just a £2 higher mark here, and I thought he'd take plenty of stopping in that. There's a 100 grand veterans chase final at 320 on the card. We're paying 5 places instead of the standard 4 to each way bets in this. Outlaw Peter is an interesting runner. He finished second to the favourite Genoa last time at Exeter, but I thought with cheek pieces being applied for the first time by trainer Paul Nichols, that might bring out the improvement required for him to take this. Over at Musselburgh then, the 155, I thought Midnight Gun was an improver last season. He may be able to get back to the winners enclosure after a couple of years out of that. It doesn't look the strongest of races, so he was the one I was with there. And in the 230 at Musselburgh, Lady Vivian looks overpriced at around 16 to 1. She has quite a bit to find on ratings with the main market leaders in this, but the fact she does receive some weight and is stepping up in trip for the first time, that might bring out more from her. And I can't go, lads, without mentioning it's Grand National season with the next 3 weekends, those Grand Nationals from different parts of UK and Ireland. You have the Irish Grand National taking place on Monday at Fairyhouse. A small each way treble I'll give you in the 3 races. I think Soldier in Milan might run well in that Irish Grand National on Monday. Saturday week, you have the Aintree Grand National. I think Monty Star around 20 to 1 has a chance.
Okay.
And in the Scottish Grand National then, the week after the Aintree Grand National on the 18th of April, I think Brave Fortune, Joseph O'Brien's runner, I'd have a big chance in that. So it's Grand National season, but before that, we have a couple of decent cards to look forward on Saturday.
Lovely.
Brilliant stuff, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to take
good
that
weekend.
tip for Monty start the National next week. And remember, if you want to keep up with all the latest racing news, Paddy Powers from the Horse's Mouth podcast is available every week. You can download the latest episode from your usual podcast provider now. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Weekend preview on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. For more racing tips, check out their podcast, From the Horse's Mouth, with Ruby Walsh and our own Paddy Power. The podcast for racing fans, by racing fans. T's and C's apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
We're talking about women's football or some of your nonsense. I mean, both. I mean, the decision last night was nonsense, wasn't it?
Well, it was, absolutely.
So we can get onto that in a moment. What you got for us, mate?
Well, I'm sorry to hear about Jonathan, the Galapagos turtle, who has passed away, as Jason Cundy would say, at just 193. What a tremendous innings, wasn't it? Well, I know they live a long time, but that is, that's incredible, isn't it? You think about when he was born, Well,
all the things that he's witnessed and seen.
Well, I suppose so.
I know, and he's probably
all
thinking,
the fish he's eaten.
Country's gone to pot anyway.
Actually, do they eat fish? I don't know.
What turtles eat? Do turtles eat fish?
What do turtles?
Would that be classed as being a what's it called? What was Hannibal?
If we had a very hot production staff, they'd now be googling, "Do turtles eat fish?"
Well, I would think that they do. I mean, what else are they going to eat? They're too slow, I think, to catch anything on land.
No, they could be herbivores, couldn't they?
Well, funnily, we talk about
this is talkSPORT, by the way.
This is talkSPORT, but we're talking about fish and turtles. But I learned this about running. Do you want to hear some of my nonsense while you search?
Yes, go on.
The reason that humans, spindly little humans, survived is because we were able to perspire while we run. And so what we were able to do is essentially stake out a deer, for example, because we could run for long distances. So actually being slow isn't necessarily a bad thing. So maybe the turtle or the tortoise just stakes out for long periods of time things on land and eats it.
They're herbivores.
Oh, right, there you go.
They eat grasses, leaves, cactus pads. It can be quite painful. Fruits and flowers. There you go.
There you go, R.I.P. Wow, was he 193?
Yeah, that's what they want to wow your mates at the pub tonight.
That's a decent
so sorry about Jonathan, but blimey, it was all that veg he ate. Now, The latest wellness trend. I love a bit of a wellness.
Oh
trend.
no! Stop down.
No, seriously. The latest wellness trend is dark showers. That's basically you take a shower 60 to 90 minutes before the bed, completely in the dark. Don't ask me what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to help you sleep better. I've been experimenting with cold showers for about the last 2 years.
In the morning or at night?
No, in the morning when I get, you know.
Do you think it helps wake you up?
I don't know. It apparently boosts your immune system. I do get less colds, but I don't think I'll be going in for the dark shower.
No.
Imagine how many people are going to trip up and absolutely do themselves a miss. Why did you trip over the sun? Well, it was dark. I couldn't see.
My shower leaks a lot. I actually had a leak last week, and I've paid a significant fee because of water damage that had gone. There's no point in having I've got like a glass sort of curtain essentially, and it might as well not be there. And the amount of time I've put polyfiller and resealed, and the mould. I'm actually moving, thank God, in a couple of weeks south of the river. But the poor lady below, bless her, the ceiling came through.
Oh no,
I know.
That's bad.
And I obviously had no idea, because I thought, well, I'm putting polyfiller in this week in, week out. There's surely no water going through this. But no, lo and behold, it did.
This anecdote's a bit polyfiller, but never mind. No, it forgot a few minutes. Now, Sylvia Monk, you won't be aware of this woman, but the listeners are. She's been writing letters to the Sun since we've been doing this show. I'd say over 26 years. And her letters tend to be sort of sympathetic to people who have died. They sort of say how wonderful somebody was.
Okay.
Rest in peace.
Like the turtle.
Like Jonathan. I'm sure she'll write a letter about Jonathan tomorrow. But she said, who is interested in where Sarah Ferguson is now? My concern is for the missing capybara, Samba, who escaped from Marwell Zoo in Hampshire. I hope she's found safe and well. Unlike Fergie, you couldn't care less what happens to her. No. How do you conflate the two things? That's what I don't get.
She must have a secret fascination, though, if she's mentioning her. But no, I don't really mind where she is.
No, not the capybara or Fergie.
What's a capybara?
Oh, it's a beautiful... it's a mammal. It's an animal, obviously. How would you describe it? It's difficult to describe exactly what species.
It looks like a small hippo.
Very good.
Capybara is the largest living rodent native to all countries in South America except Chile.
Should have known that, really. But what can you do? You've learned a lot on this show.
We have.
Galapagos turtles, what they eat, how to seal your shower.
But coming up next, thank God, we're going to be talking finally about women's football.
I could do this for another 3 hours if you want.
And whether or not it's got an issue with officiating. You're listening to Hawksbee and Jacobs on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Grab an extra 10% off selected Karcher pressure washers until the 7th of April, subject to availability. T's and C's apply. Next stop, Toolstation.
Tottenham Hotspur have appointed Roberto De Zerbi as their new head coach. It is a 5-year deal. De Zerbi will become one of the best paid coaches in the Premier League, and he will receive a huge survival bonus if he keeps them up. Spurs were reluctant to include any relegation clause in De Zerbi's contract, in part because of the message it would send to the players. So there ain't no clause in there. His first game in charge will be away to Sunderland on April the 12th. Thereafter, at home to Brighton, away to Wolves and Villa, at home to Leeds, away to Chelsea, and at home to Everton. And the sporting director, Johan Lang, says De Zerbi was always the club's first choice. Simon, we've spoken about this, and now it's happened. Is this going to be a match made in heaven or hell?
Or, I mean, ultimately for Spurs, if they avoid relegation, as a result of the decisions that he makes, initially it'll be a match made in heaven. I mean, I judge him by his conduct in previous instances, and I always make the observation that if someone shows you what they are, believe them. But also, people are capable of revisiting things, changing the way they operate, and learning from their experiences. And that's the reasons why my attitude is adjusted towards Marcus Silva, because new information determines that. So my bias towards De Serbi is not about his football coaching prowess, because we know he's a good, decent coach. Is he elite? No, I don't think he is. But is he a good one? Yeah. Is he better than Tudor? Yes. Is he worthy of being paid the third highest manager in the Premier League? Of course he's not. But Spurs have been bent over because they put themselves in a situation where they've got no choice to be able to go around and go, we got so desperate now, we'll pay anybody anything that looks like, if you can go into a desert and convince us that sand is water, we'll drink it, because we're in a situation where we're so desperate.
We are delighted to report.
I'm delighted.
The texts have come through in their hundreds. Well, Jonathan is alive. It was a false alarm. Repeat, Jonathan is alive. That is Jez from Calgary. The tortoise isn't dead was a hoax. Andy the tortoise is an April Fool. So
I know.
We've been done there. What a strange April Fool, though.
He's 193. I mean, I like an April Fool, but that's absolutely pathetic. I mean, why? It's not like he couldn't have died. It's not like something that couldn't have happened. I mean, he's 193. It wouldn't have been a shock if he had died. If somebody announces 193-year-old animal dies, you're not going to go, oh no, that's an April Fool. He's got at least another 70 years in him. How foolish of us.
I was done by a few yesterday. The first was from the Barmy Army. Virat Kohli's joined the Barmy Army, and I thought that's strange. But anyway, we live to fight another day. We are finally discussing the event in the Women's Champions League last night between Arsenal and Chelsea, where the referee, for my money, had an absolute howler. Let's hear from Chelsea manager Sonia Bonpastor, who spoke to the media after a side were knocked out of the Champions League by Arsenal last night. She was critical of VAR and officiating generally in the women's game.
No, I'm more calm now, but you need to understand in the moment, I was emotional because I think it's clear for everyone, and I think everyone could see the video. I had one of my players who was pulled her hair, and I can probably understand the referee sometimes can't see that, but I don't understand, and it's not been the first time now, it was 1 week ago, why the VAR is not checking that situation. Why are they not going back to that, just checking and having a clear call on that? Because I think the impact on my player, Alyssa Thompson, of course, she was a lot emotional. I just think it's not good enough. And at the end, again, I'm the one who gets a red card, where I think the Arsenal player should be the one who gets a red card. And what is the VAR doing in these games?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with her 100%, but it's a slight deflection of the fact that over the two legs, I mean, yes, Chelsea didn't get the refereeing decisions, but Arsenal were thoroughly professional, and Chelsea and clinical. Alicia Russo was brilliant, and Chelsea missed too many chances. They had a goal disallowed that would have changed the game, but in the end, they didn't go for it until the last 10 minutes. And if they'd done that and started like that and just chucked the kitchen sink, they were so worried about conceding that they didn't go for it. Whereas if you get a goal, if you score a goal, you can bring back that deficit, especially the big crowd in and everything. I was slightly disappointed they left it so late to give it a go. But although it was very late in the game, it was quite a crucial thing because Chelsea were on the attack. They just scored, and after that, Arsenal kept the ball for about 2 minutes.
Yeah,
So,
but that's where the argument comes, isn't it? If the correct decision is made, that could be game changing for Chelsea.
She's right. In one way, she's right. Is what on earth is the VAR looking at? I mean, if that isn't clear and obvious, you might as well just give up watching football. I mean, really.
And we've seen it. We've seen it in the men's game this year. We've seen it with Vickery in the past. So that surely there's a precedent for that.
Oh yeah.
But who knows? Let's bring in Crystal Palace forward Molly Sharp to discuss this. I mean, other than the incident, Molly, I mean, which I'm sure you would say is a clear red card, massive mistake. The wider question that I've been hearing before this, and obviously in response to this, is there an officiating problem within the women's game? It's something that is highlighted all the time in the men's. But what do you make of it in light of the incident last night?
Yeah, I mean, Sonia Bonpastor said it, didn't she? She said she doesn't feel like the referees are quite qualified enough. I think looking back at it, the referee was in a really good position to make that decision, and it is just a shame that then VAR didn't pick up on it. But ultimately, I think, if a referee is qualified enough to be reffing in a Champions League game like that, then she should be able to see it, in my opinion.
Yeah, but she has history, this woman, refereeing Chelsea, and that penalty was one of the maddest penalties in football history. It was about 3 yards outside the box, but she gave it. So, it is difficult when this happens, and but in the end, you can't make excuses, can you? And really, Arsenal, I think, on the balance of everything, just about deserved to go through.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal played, especially in the first leg, basically settled the game, and I think you can't take that away from Arsenal, but I do see Bonpastor's point of view. Like you said before, they were on the attack. She's had a helper. It's not even been given for a free kick, never mind a yellow card, and then Bonpastor's being sent off, so I can see the emotions that's coming into it. But yeah, take nothing away from Arsenal. They saw the game out in the end, and they did enough to get through, rightly so. But I do think the refereeing decision, especially that one, had a massive impact on the end of that game.
And goals change games. I mean, in the first game, I thought both were goals, but the first one, I don't think there's one person that doesn't think that was a goal, and that definitely changed the tie. A bit of a word for Alicia Russo, though. I think she was the player of both games. I mean, she's really in tremendous form at the moment.
Absolutely, she is. Yeah, I actually did co-commentary on Arsenal's game in the WSL, and she was a standout player. She scored a hat-trick, and she's done the same in the Champions League, and there's a reason why she's in the position that she's in, and it's not only her work on the ball and her scoring goals, it's how hard she works off the ball as well. She holds the ball up well, she runs defenders down, and she creates not only goals but opportunities for a team that then just give you momentum. And as a footballer in the game, you feel like momentum is really everything.
And on the opposite side, Sam Kerr had a bit of a frustrating figure. She was a wonderful player, but that injury has really set her back, and there were a couple of chances you thought, she would have buried that pre-injury. So it's difficult for her, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, it is difficult for Sam Kerr. Obviously, an ACL injury for any female player, any player, football player in general, it's absolutely one of the worst injuries you can get. And coming back from it is a very difficult process, not only physically but mentally. You're in the gym a lot. It's quite difficult to get your body the way that it was. And she did have a chance when she was through on goal, and I think probably before the injury she would have just taken it, had a shot early, probably scored it with her calibre. But yeah, she kind of took a touch back and then tried to lob the keeper, and that's when Van Donselaar made the amazing save.
Yeah, she made some good saves, didn't she, the Arsenal keeper?
She did, yeah.
Got a bit lucky with the ones that went against the post. And a quick word for Lauren James. And Nuskins was good too, but Lauren James, like Russo, they were the two standout players. She gave it everything, didn't she?
She did, yeah. I mean, speaking from experience playing against Lauren James, she is an unbelievable player. The way that she moves, she's so intelligent. And I think, if there was going to be a way back into the game for Chelsea, it did look like it would come from Lauren James, but she played exceptionally well, and she always does. And it is a shame that Chelsea couldn't get back into the game, because extra time would have been quite interesting.
It
I
would have
think.
been fun, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been.
Molly, controversy aside from last night, Arsenal are through. They're the sort of holders of the Champions League. Tonight, Barcelona against Madrid. Do you see there being a repeat of last year's final?
Yeah, I do actually. I do. I think Barcelona are very, very good, and I think the results this year from them playing against Real Madrid does look to maybe go that way again. I do feel.
Definitely. Yeah,
brilliant stuff. Molly Sharp, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
Crystal
Molly.
Palace forward, giving us a rundown not just of the controversy last night, but the layout in the Women's Champions League. It'd be great. I mean, how do you feel about other English teams in European competitions? Do you want to champion them? Are you now wanting Arsenal to go and do well, or is it London Rivalry not a chance?
Not a chance.
So it's interesting because
the thing is, listeners know this. So there is a big rivalry, and while I respect Arsenal as a brilliantly run football club, which a lot of other clubs could learn from, and classy, and all that, and everything about them is great. Obviously, I never want them to do well. And if I'm watching an Arsenal game, they go 1-0 up, let's turn it off.
I think being a supporter of a team in the Midlands, because obviously you've got big clubs there, Villa, for example, but they've not been at the top of the tree. I'm more than happy for, when I watch Champions League football, I always want English teams to win. So I don't have that.
Yeah, I do. This season I do, because obviously it's good for the coefficient and all that, and you hope that 5 teams will get in. And, but I definitely don't want Arsenal to win the men's.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many successful London clubs that are regularly in it.
Yeah.
You're not in a position that I can, whereas I can just sit there and watch it, enjoy it, and hope,
Well, there's only been one.
Well.
There's only one London club that actually ever won the Champions League. I think you'll find.
This is true. This is correct.
Twice.
And it's Chelsea. And when do you think they're going to do it again, mate?
Much more likely for my other prediction. They'll be in the blue square within 5 years. Honestly, it's mad, isn't it, the way it's run? But there we go. That's it. You also have a mad owner.
But we've got an owner that's taken us from the bottom of the Championship to the Premier League. And we might not be there next season. I think we will, though. We'll talk about Forest a little bit later.
We've got owners that take us from the Champions League to the Conference League. Tremendous. And below.
All right, coming up next, we're going to ask former Man City fullback Danny Mills about Phil Foden's season and if Pep Guardiola could be off in the summer.
Tuchel was asked about Arsenal's 10 international withdrawals, including Rice and Saka. He admitted he understood the look of it, unquote, but defended his England duo over their injury issues, revealing Rice has been playing, quotes, at 70% for some time because of his continued discomfort. Tuchel says everyone can do the math, and it's a lot of players, of course, and during this situation, it looks a bit suspicious. He says, I understand the look of it. I still have 100% trust in the honesty of Saka and Declan. We did medical tests. I saw them. I've no reason to believe that Declan is not honest with me. I've no reason to believe Bukayo is not honest. Asked specifically which injury Rice was nursing, Tuchel said, I'm not sure if I want to give it away. I think Arsenal wouldn't be happy if I gave it away. But he feels a discomfort for a while. He's playing through it. Tuchel said it was up to Arsenal, Danny, to decide for themselves how much risk they're taking by playing Rice. And he added, I'm not willing to take this risk for my key player. I mean, at the business end of the season, and this is where we're at, do these situations call for a common sense approach from international managers like Tuchel?
Yeah, common sense sounds, I think it makes absolute sense that if he's got one of his best players saying they're not quite fully fit, go and rest up, go back to your club. I think that's he's looking after himself, he's looking after his squad, he's doing the right thing by the player.
After more than 3 months on the sidelines, Alexander Isak is expected to make the Liverpool bench against City on Saturday. And talkSPORT's Gabby Abonglahor reckons Isak will get straight back into the starting 11 when he's fully fit and can see slots going with a 3-5-2.
Frimpong and Kirkers as wing-backs. Yeah. They've got is it Leone, the centre-half, will be back, hopefully.
The French lads?
Yes, maybe bring in another centre-half, the three in the middle, and Ekatike and Isak as two centre-forward.
Elsewhere at City, Thomas Tuchel has said Phil Foden's World Cup place is not guaranteed. Now, Tiger Woods will leave the US for medical treatment following his arrest on suspicion of driving under the influence. Woods is stepping back from golf to focus on his health and will not captain Team USA at next year's Ryder Cup. Four-time major winner Dame Laura Davies doesn't think her hero needs to keep driving.
That's the only thing I'd question, but the pain side of it, I cannot even imagine the pain the man's in. So I'm so pleased to hear that. Sounds like he's really addressing it now.
And Tony Bellew has backed Derek Chisora to beat Deontay Wilder this weekend.
Simon Jordan was saying that, he hasn't seen Deontay Wilder throw a meaningful punch in 12 months, and I get his point there, I really do. But he only needs one punch, lads. He's a one-trick pony, but I'm not going to lie, it's a hell of a trick.
Loads more on talkSPORT's boxing YouTube channel.
Phil Foden is playing through the middle tonight, hoping for his first goal in 22 games.
The structure was also too narrow, so we made it difficult for ourselves. And from here we go. This is where we are at the moment.
When you talk about more to do, I mean, Phil Foden, do you know what? I feel a bit for Phil because playing in the wrong position, I think he's got work to do.
One thing that we haven't seen from Phil Foden in this modified role that he's playing in tonight is just that little bit of artistry.
I absolutely love Phil, and I'm desperate for Phil to just get back to playing with a little bit of a spark.
Phil Foden, he's going to be 30 at the next World Cup, and I don't think he's going to be going to this one.
I'm not sure that I would be totally infused by Phil Foden playing as a dropped-off number 9. I don't think that helps him as a player, and we just didn't get enough players in the box.
I love Adrian, but he's such a prophet of doom, isn't he?
30 is.
30, he might have
ready for
improved.
retirement.
Yeah.
Well, how do you solve a problem like Phil Foden? That is the question. We all know what a talent he is. We all sort of saw the player 2 seasons ago that won the Player of the Year award, but has never really been able to sort of settle into a position or find his position for an England team. This, of course, off the back of a pretty sort of flat, disappointing international break. But interesting to see what Danny Mills has got to say about Phil Foden. We're going to bring him in a moment. Just a reminder, Danny's going to be sticking with us for the Fools panel after the break. So please get in touch, 03717 223344 if you want to be a part of that. Get in touch. But let's talk about Phil Foden. Let's talk about Manchester City and Pep Guardiola as well with Danny Mills. Danny, how are you doing, mate? And what are your thoughts on Phil Foden, who seems to be coming under a lot of criticism? Do you think it's justified for his performance against Japan?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. I think it's been very difficult for Phil Foden. His ability is not in question. His technique is not in question. He is one of those players that has as much, if not more, ability than most players. And when he shines, he's absolutely exceptional. The problem that Phil has suffered, I think, with England over the last few years, even when he's been in great form for Manchester City, is Manchester City play such a unique brand of football. They play in such a unique way. It's changed a little bit this season. Bizarrely, Phil hasn't been involved too much in that. But leading up to this, there was no set positions really for anybody on the pitch. And I'll explain that in the fact that sometimes you would see Bernardo Silva at right back. You would see John Stones on the left wing. You would see the movement of all these players it's like a chessboard. Everybody has a square. And if someone comes into your square, you have to go into somebody else. So there's always people available. And it's an incredibly fluid system that when it's at its best works. But that has to be worked at day in, day out. The levels of concentration, the levels of effort to get to that level are absolutely incredible. England don't play that way.
No.
They play in a completely different system, a completely different way of playing. And I think at times when Phil's been stuck out in wide areas for England, he's almost looked lost. He doesn't know how to get into the game. He doesn't know where to run. Because if he runs inside, there's people in his space. People come into his space, he gets out of it, and then doesn't get the ball. And I think he's been almost a victim of Manchester City's success and the way that they played because they are so unique.
It seems
his
to
form
me...
this season hasn't been brilliant, and therefore, he's struggling when he's coming into a team, even playing as a 10.
It's interesting you say that, Danny, because it seems to me that Phil Foden is almost, you talk about the system, you talk about how intricate it is, like a game of chess. It feels like Phil Foden maybe has been mollycoddled by Manchester City. He didn't go out on loan. He's not played anywhere else. And whilst obviously he's been turned into an incredible player, we all know how talented he is. I think as you say, it becomes so clear when he plays for England that he's not used to playing in any other system. And perhaps that style and system has almost done a disservice to his international career.
You're also playing with exceptional players, better than the England players week in, week out, especially during that prime period. And I've often said, the young players coming through at Manchester City are incredibly talented. But and you're right about the gun on the note, how would they... So, for instance, Rico Lewis, that's played Champions League, Senior International, it's back in the 21s. How would he fare at Watford or Brighton?
Yeah.
Would he be as good a player in those teams? I don't think he would. Probably not is the answer, because you don't have as many options on the ball. You aren't getting the quality of passes. You aren't playing with the quality players. And Guardiola's always been very, very clever. He's only ever really put in one, maybe two young players at a time. He doesn't make wholesale changes. So if you're putting one, and they're good young players, don't get me wrong, they're technically very, very good. They're very, very good footballers. But I think they are made better by the other 9 or 10 players around them that help them out, that are always available, that will give them good passes, that will always pick them out. And I think sometimes this is where we've got almost a little bit of a falsity of how good some of the young Manchester City players are. They are brilliant in the Manchester City system. They are brilliant in the Manchester City way, but England do not play that way. And I think Phil has been a victim of that when he's gone to England, for sure.
Pep, it'd be interesting to see what happens in the summer with Pep. We'll talk a bit about that in a minute. But he's never been afraid to let a player go. He let Cole Palmer go. He let Delap go. He's let a lot of players go if he doesn't think that they're going to get a full chance. Cole Palmer did go away and play well outside of the City system, but he also suffered this season. I think he's played too much, and his confidence has just gone. I mean, it wasn't a great performance from him on Tuesday night.
Cole Palmer's he's a maverick. He's a bit of an enigma, I think. He's one of those, he's incredibly talented, and he does a lot of that without having to think about how he does it. And I think that's why he struggled with Manchester City, and clearly struggled with Pep. When you look sort of deeper into it, and you'll have seen him, Andy, more than probably anybody else, been a Chelsea fan. Can you trust him to play a certain position, do defensive duties, be diligent, or do you just say, you know what, you are the old school number 10, just go and do what you want and go and produce? Guardiola doesn't allow that in any system. No, it doesn't matter who you are, you have to do a certain job and you have to be coachable in that way. And I think that's why Guardiola let him go. Again, his talent is supreme. You know, that's not in question. But I think because he plays, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but he plays almost off the cuff. He does what he sees in that moment. He doesn't really think about it too much. And I think we see that from some of his interviews. That's what makes him so good, but that also can make him very unpredictable at times.
It's very
and when he has
interesting.
that drop in confidence, he can suffer.
It's very interesting that his best form came under Pochettino, who's a brilliant manager, who is a sort of mode that just says go out and play. And that's what he did.
And that was it, Andy, wasn't it? It was like, you know what? You have no defensive duties. You can just go and do what. Give him the ball and let him do whatever he wants. And actually, it's a little bit, it's not quite the same. Clearly, he's a much better player. But Messi, when he plays for Argentina, it's like, just give him the ball. You don't have to defend. You do what you want. And the other 9 or 10 players will do all the other hard work and make up for what you don't do off the ball. Clearly, Cole Palmer's not as good. But it's that sort of ethos of we can allow you just to be a free, old-school number 10 with zero responsibility for tracking back,
well, you mentioned
or doing any of the ugly game.
It goes back to that point that conversation, age-old conversation we keep coming back to about maverick players, call them what you want, players with a little bit of vavavoom, of course, which Foden and Palmer do. And the question is whether the game sort of, in being so sanitised and system-focused, actually allows that. And I don't think that the modern game encourages the likes of Cole Palmer and Phil Foden to really do that all of the time because they have these defensive responsibilities they have to work within the system. I guess the last question on this before we talk about Pep Guardiola is, do you think they will go to the World Cup, Phil Foden and Cole Palmer? Would you pick them based on what you've seen so far?
I think Cole Palmer has a much better chance because he can do, as you know, Andy's watched several times, he can do something special. He can do something out of nothing.
Yeah.
The way that I think he goes past players better than maybe Phil does. Phil's more of a passer, perhaps. So I think out of the two, I think Cole Palmer might go. The problem that I think Phil Foden's got, the last 2 games weren't amazing for him. How many minutes is he going to get between now and the end of the season to impress Thomas Tuchel? Not that many, I would suggest. And that's probably going to be his biggest problem.
Yeah. Danny, can you just talk to us about Pep Guardiola? Because the sort of breaking news last night here at talkSPORT, we were hearing that Manchester City have formally requested and asked Pep Guardiola about his plans to see out his contract, whether or not he's going to leave at the end of the season or see out his contract. How do you see this playing out? We're told that the top brass at Manchester City expected or were hoping to hear something in the international break. They hadn't, so they formally requested that. Do you think he's going to stay on?
Well, they got stung a couple of seasons ago, didn't they? Where they were a little bit unsure. Players started to leave. They didn't recruit because they didn't know whether Pep was going to be in charge or not. And clearly he likes a certain type of player. And that, you know, caused a downturn in the early part of the season. So I think now they're thinking, well, we can't let that happen again. Because if we're going to recruit and it's Pep's players, we need to know that he's going to be here at least next season. If it's not going to be him, we need to know who the manager is going to be, whether that might be Maresca or whoever that could be. And we need to then recruit for their style of players. Because what was it? I think it was a season and a half ago, their recruitment over the summer was terrible. They got it completely wrong. They let a lot of very good players go and they didn't recruit until very, very late. And that cost them in the early part of the season. So I think they're just trying to get ahead of it and work out whether Pep's going to be there next season or if he may decide to walk away in the summer.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see. If you want to read more about that, head to the website, talksport.com, for the full details on what Manchester City are expecting from Pep Guardiola, what could happen if he was to leave at the end of the season. Coming up next, we're going to be predicting some of the FA Cup games this weekend in the Fools panel. Danny's sticking around for that. If you want to take part, give us a call right now, 03717 223344, and you could be taking us on.
wanted to talk about Marc Cucurella, actually, because twice in 2 days he's hit the headlines. He was talking about saying that it would be so difficult to turn down Barcelona if they called, but he's now criticised the sacking of former manager Enzo Maresca and the club's transfer policy. On the sacking, he said, the moment Enzo Maresca left, it had a big impact on us. If you asked me, I would not have made this decision. Not positive if you're Liam Rosenior reading that, is it?
I don't know what's going on at Chelsea, my former club.
There's a few players now, isn't there? Cole Palmer's been linked to a move. We've got Cucurella, obviously Enzo Fernandez with Real Madrid.
Well, let's get it right, okay? And Ali, jump in on this. You've been a manager. One of your Rangers players, is quite vocal about he'd love a move and the previous manager was better than you. How are you going to react to that?
Oh, he's getting the curly finger. Here, come here, you. Office. Oh, he's getting the curly finger. I need a word with you. Sit down there. It's got it.
Wouldn't do it, would you?
No. I think it's disrespectful.
Absolutely.
Right. I think it's disrespectful. I really do. I mean, you don't want the manager coming out and saying, right, I'm going to get rid of him straight away when I come in. That you can't have it that way either. There has to be a mutual respect, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how the questions came about. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Particularly in international breaks, right?
Yeah, they go away and they
exactly. And he's maybe sat down at a press conference and been talking about the game, and then somebody's went, right, bang, have some of this. And they're not, I'm saying they're not smart enough. They should just go, look, I'm here on international duty. I don't want to be talking about Chelsea. I'll talk about my national team. That's the easy answer. That's the get out. I'll talk to you about Chelsea the couple of days before my next cup game, my next league game. But I'm here on international duty, and here's how it is.
It's time now for a bit of Fool's Panel where we get with our pros, commentators, callers. I'm obviously standing in for Paul, Andy. We're going to predict some of the scores for this weekend's fixtures across the talkSPORT network. A reminder of the standings at the top of the pros with 62 points.
Stan.
And then we got that Stan Collymore, and then just close behind them, Ollie Clinker, the commentators, on 61. Paul's on 56, Andy 49, and the callers on 47. Danny Mills is standing by after that chat about Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, etc. Delighted to say we're joined for the commentators by our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, who I'm reliably informed is at Chepstow Races. Crookie, how are you doing? You enjoying it?
I am. The sun is out. I'm overlooking the parade ring. I've had no winners from 2 so far, so the only way is up.
Yeah, indeed. And delighted to say we've got Andy, the Port Vale fan, who's representing the callers. How you doing, Andy?
Hey, Max. How you doing?
Doing
very well.
Doing good stuff, mate. We're doing very well here. Right, we're gonna start with Danny Mills, pros at the top of the table. You're representing Stan Collymore, Danny. Pressure's on. So first fixture, live exclusively on talkSPORT this weekend, Saturday, 4th of April, Manchester City against Liverpool in the FA Cup quarter-final. Commentary from Jim Proudfoot and England and Forest legend Stuart Pearce. What's your prediction here, Danny?
Well, first and foremost, I can't believe it's taken me this long to get on the Fools panel. I thought I'd have been invited long before now.
Very good point.
I mean, City, I think, will be really desperate to win this. I think Pep will have them fired up, especially after the Carabao Cup win at home as well. I think it's going to be difficult for Liverpool. Obviously, Mo Salah, saying he's going to go at the end of the season as well. Another little bit of a kick in the teeth for them. I think it's going to be Manchester City to win 3-1.
3-1. Fantastic. Heading over to Alex Crook. What you got, Crookie?
Yeah, I fancy City as well, to be honest. I'm still not convinced by Liverpool. I thought Pep's side were really good at Wembley last weekend. Maybe a little bit tighter, so I'm going to go 2-1 to the home side.
Okay, so City so far. I'm going to go against the grain, and I know City are on that winning feeling, but I just sort of think they have been quite inconsistent this season. That's the reason why they're not at the top of the Premier League. I think Mo Salah in a quarter-final is going to sort of come up trumps, I think, after the announcement of his retirement. So I'm going 1-0 Liverpool.
Okay, well, he's not really retiring, he's leaving, isn't he?
Well, yeah, retiring from the club, sorry.
I think Manchester City are a much better team than Liverpool this season. I think they'll win this 2-1.
2-1. And Andy, Port Vale fan, what you got?
Yeah, I think City are going to be too strong for this one. I've got a feeling 3-1.
3-1. Okay, there we go. City's firm favourites there. Reminder, that's live and exclusive on talkSPORT on Saturday. The next game is Chelsea Port Vale FA Cup quarter-final. Andy's team in that. Danny Mills, what you got for this?
Well, obviously, you've got a fan from both. I'm going to upset one of them. I don't think it's a surprise who I'll be upsetting. It won't be Andy, unfortunately. I mean, I know Chelsea have had their problems in the last few weeks, but they should be, especially at home. And I don't like to say, it will be a great day out for Port Vale. They will enjoy it. It will be a huge occasion, but I just can't see them pulling it off. Maybe if it was is it still Vale Park? I mean, I've played there and been battered on a couple of occasions. It's not an easy place to go.
No, it's at the Bridge.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. The fact that it's at Stamford Bridge, I think it makes it really, really difficult. I'm going to go big Chelsea 4-0.
4-0. Where are those goals going to come from, Andy? Who knows? Crookie, what do we got for this one?
Well, I've just seen a 2-7 shot romp home here at Chepstow, and I'd imagine that Chelsea will win with just as much in hand. I do think they'll concede. I don't really trust them defensively, so I'm going to go 4-1 to the home side.
4-1. Okay, I think this is going to be a little bit narrower. There's a huge confidence crisis. It's not been a great international break for the club with all sorts of media attention on Enzo Fernandez, Cucurella, etc. I still think they're going to win it, but I think it's going to be a lot closer. So I'm going to go Chelsea 2, Port Vale 1. Andy, what you got?
I think Port Vale will win this. I don't think Chelsea can beat anybody at this particular
stage. Do you think they're going to lose it every game for the rest of the season?
I do, really. I mean, no, they should win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a very scrapey sort of 2-1 or something like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's 1-1 at extra time. I wouldn't, at 90 minutes.
But you're saying, what, 2-1 after extra time?
No, 2-1. No, we only do 90 minutes.
Okay, 2-1 to Chelsea. Okay, very good. Andy, are you backing the boys?
Well, I don't know whether to go with my heart or my head. But I'll be there on Saturday. Really looking forward to it. We've been rubbish this year.
Yeah, Chelsea's home form is dire, absolutely dire.
Yeah, but we've got some. At the start of the season, I thought we were going to stand a chance of staying up or getting into the playoffs. We have got one or two decent players in there, so I'm going to put my neck on the line. I'm going to say 1-1, and then we'll win it on penalties.
Ooh, through on pens. I like the confidence there, Andy. We'll say
that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, after extra time.
Yeah.
Fair play. I mean, we love to see it. That's what the FA Cup's all about. Final fixture for the Fools panel. Southampton at home to Arsenal in the FA Cup quarter-final. That one, of course, live on talkSPORT, presented by Ollie Clinkety-Clink. Commentary from Alex Crook and former Southampton and Arsenal winger Perry Groves. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Danny Mills, what you got?
Well, I mean, this is going to be really hard for Arsenal because they've got, 174 injuries, I think, at the moment. The amount of people that have pulled out of international squads. So I think they could be playing their under-12s. I mean, it's going to be miraculous how many players have recovered and are able to play in this game. I've seen Southampton recently. They're in a really good run of form. Yeah. They have got some good players. But I just think Arsenal will be too strong, even though even if they play a slightly second string, with all these injuries, I think Arsenal will go there. They want to win as many trophies as possible. That the Carabao Cup will have hurt them, without a doubt. I think Arsenal will win 2-0.
2-0.
They've got a Champions League fixture, haven't they, in midweek coming up, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, Champions League's coming up. I mean, look, massive fixture schedule. This is a huge part of it. You think they're going to roll them over. Crookie, do you reckon there's going to be an upset, or is this an easy one for Arsenal?
Final, I predicted this would be where Arsenal's quadruple dream died. Obviously, they've lost the first of those 4 trophies already. They will be looking to bounce back. But I'm going to stick with my prediction. Southampton going great guns in the Championship. Difficult game for Arsenal on the back of an international break with surely one eye on the Champions League in midweek. So I have predicted Southampton to win by 2-1. I spoke to their FA Cup winning captain, Peter Rodriguez, this morning. 82 years young, in great form, and he's up for the upset as well.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. Alex Crook back in his South Coast contacts there. Fair enough. I mean, look, with this one, I think Southampton have just got into the top 6. They're in a purple patch. I think it's going to be a really difficult day. We haven't seen Arsenal being prolific all season, but I just can't see them getting past the strength in depth that Arsenal have. The reason why I think they're probably going to go on and win the Premier League. I'd like to see Max Dowman feature, so I'm going to go Arsenal 1-0 to the Arsenal. Max Dowman to score, hopefully. Andy, what you got?
Me too. I'm going 1-0 to the Arsenal, and I'm pretty sure Dowman will play. I mean, almost certainly. Yeah, they're going to rest.
He scored. Did you see that goal he scored for the England underage group? Don't know.
Yeah, I did actually.
Incredible goal.
He's a great prospect.
So you're going 1-0 to the Arsenal. And lastly, Andy, Port Vale fan, what do you got for us, mate?
Yeah, I think it'll be a tight game, but then, like you've all said, the Arsenal squad will be too strong. They'll bring 1 or 2 players on towards the end, and then maybe run away with a 3-1.
3-1 Arsenal. Brilliant stuff. Andy, thank you so much, mate. Good luck for the rest of the season. Good luck for your time at the Bridge. Hopefully your prediction's right. You win on pens.
That's it. Up the Vale.
Up the Vale. Cheers, Andy. Crookie, any parting words before you go and finish your day at Chepstow?
Just wish me some luck for the last 5 races.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good luck there, Crookie, mate. Absolute pleasure. And Danny Mills, thanks so much for joining us, mate. We'll speak to you soon.
Pleasure. Get a taxi home, Crookie.
Yeah, leave early, mate. It's not going to end well. That was the Fools panels here on Hawksbee and Jacobs. As well, don't miss talkSPORT Breakfast on Tuesday morning from Thursday morning it'll be, Friday morning, Tuesday morning from 6am, where Ali McCoist and Gabby Agbonlahor will be joined by none other than Champions League winner Steven Gerrard to chat all things Liverpool, England's World Cup chances and his managerial future. That's going to be an absolute belter next Tuesday on talkSPORT Breakfast. Coming up next, we'll bring you clips of the month. You're listening to Hawksbee and Jacobs on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Grab an extra 10% off selected Karcher pressure washers until the 7th of April, subject to availability. T's and C's apply. Next stop, Toolstation.
We know the bulk of his squad, don't we? If you say,
well, you got the obvious ones, right?
Yes.
Of course, right? The main 11, you'd probably say almost picks itself, but then you got to take 26, and you are going to need these players.
I don't think Harry Maguire's done himself any harm over the last 2 games. Actually,
the number 10 position for me is scary fault.
That is not well.
Has Cole Palmer done enough in this England in the last 2 camps to warrant?
This is what annoys me about you. Why the last? It's not just these last 2 games. It's the last year.
Well, he ain't played.
So for England, I'm talking about.
Yeah, but he's hardly played for Chelsea.
The last year, that's what Thomas Tuchel will look at. Not just Cole Palmer, all of them. It's not just the last 2 games. if you take the last two games,
but Cole Palmer needed to turn up for England this two camps and stake his claim.
Yeah, and
he hasn't.
Well, he hasn't done enough. None of them have. I mean, there are one or two players you look at and think. I mean, I think in all honesty, as I mentioned, Harry Maguire, I don't think's done himself any harm. I think Garner's done himself any harm.
Are we going to go to a World Cup with Harry Maguire and Jordan Henderson?
We might do, yeah.
I mean, we're going on like we're favourites, right? Honestly.
Who says we're favourites?
Well, everyone likes to think we are. Everyone likes to think we are.
It's all about what you do when you... I've seen so many of this. I can go back over managers over the last 20 years.
You're listening to Hawksbee and Jacobs. Me, Max Scott, alongside Andy Jacobs. Coming up next, we've got the semi-final of the Clips of the Month. Stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking a little bit of Nottingham Forest as well. Can they stay in the Premier League? What does Roberto De Zerbi's appointment mean for Forest and the fight for Premier League survival? All that and much more coming up next. But first, with your sports headlines, it's Will Hobbs.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan vans or head to your local Nissan van centre.
Thank you, Max. How much detonation, how much dynamite does Deontay Wilder have left as he faces Derek Chisora at the O2? One of his more recent nemesis, Simon Jordan, says he's a shell of the fighter that fought Fury in 2019.
On a personality level, he is not the same charismatic, energetic, vital man that came in and sat with you. That's a different animal.
Far from it, Sam.
And he's going to get beat.
Far from it.
And if you're asking what he is, bomb squad. No, this is wet fart. He's going to get knocked out.
Derek Chisora says he'll keep his promise to retire after that fight. As his first trainer, John Oliver, says he must. Promoter Frank Warren also thinks this should be his last fight. But if Chisora does beat Wilder and came to Warren for another, what would he do?
Would I do it?
Yeah.
If he's going to fight and he's ranked number one and I want one of my fighters to get that spot, then I'd say fight him and get the IBF number one spot. Of course I would.
Elsewhere, our own Andy Jacobs says Liam Rosenior should show strong management and drop vice-captain Enzo Fernandez after he suggested he may not stick around at Chelsea next season. Former Chelsea man Scott Minto says despite the media hysteria, the dressing room won't really mind if his or Cucurella's recent comments.
It doesn't affect the morale of the group at all in any way. I think he's looking at the bigger picture here. He was asked a question, what's your future? He said, I don't know. Let's get the season done. Let's do the World Cup and we'll see what happens.
And Eduardo Molinari has been named as one of Luke Donald's vice-captains for Europe at the 2027 Ryder Cup. He'll resume the role for the third successive staging, having been part of victories in Rome and New York.
talkSPORT News.
A funeral director who gave bereaved families the wrong ashes has admitted 30 counts of preventing a lawful burial, and Reform UK's housing spokesperson has been sacked over comments about the Grenfell Tower fire. Emma has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 400 EV-ready centres across the UK, we're top of the league for electric car owners. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Mostly dry this afternoon with sunny spells. Cloud and rain spread into the northwest this evening, turning windy with possible coastal gales, but average temperatures.
Hawksbee Jacobs, Max Scott, Andy Jacobs. Got a good hour coming up. We've got Tim Vickery, South American football expert. What do you mean? Good hour?
You don't know that. It might be rubbish.
It might be terrible. But looking at these guests, it's going to be an absolute belter, mate. Tim Vickery, talking about all of his knowledge in regards to South American football, bringing us some stories as well. Todd Macklin, top 5 stories from the US. And, of course, we'll get a little bit into my beloved Nottingham Forest. What does Roberto De Zerbi's appointment... Should Forest fans be scared of Roberto De Zerbi? But time now for Clips of the Month, thanks to Toolstation. So...
Yes, can I just say I'm fascinated by this place. 95% of the stuff I do on here is just soppy nonsense. And I say like opinion. That makes me sound like a real shock jock. I see these things online where I can't even believe I've said it. It's like the big splash headline. like Simon Jordan. I think it's absolutely bonkers. Anyway, there we go.
Well, just a reminder on these clips of the week. We want you to get on Twitter at TSH and J and vote for your favourites, and then we'll bring the finalists later on in the show and reveal the winner a little bit later on. But let's kick off with Alan Brazil at Cheltenham discussing jockey Nico de Boinville.
John is now 17-time Cheltenham Festival winner, who has a whole book of top-class rides. Next month, Nico de Boinville.
Yeah, that's right.
He probably said it better than me, though.
No, he didn't. And now to Mickey Gray with a goal update from Newcastle versus Everton.
I think if the ball doesn't go in, it would have been a stonewall penalty, but it does go into the back of the net to give Everton the lead again in this game. But Jacob Murphy scored a wonderful volley.
Yeah, he got it from the local fish and chip shop. There you go.
And the final one from semi-final one, my mate Emma Kerwin now with the news.
And 5 companies are under investigation as part of a crackdown on fake online reviews. Also Trader, Just Eat, FIFA, Dignity and Pasta
It's going well.
Are being investigated by the Competition and Markets Authority.
Poor old Emma.
I love Shebanga. It's going well.
It's going well. Yeah, I feel sorry for Emma because she doesn't like being on Clips of the Week.
Oh, well, none of us do, really.
Time for semi-final 2 now.
Lovely. It's me, isn't it? Shabana Hearn now and Tony Cascarino on the Weekend Sports Breakfast, and a surprise admission from Cass.
Good morning. It's the Weekend Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Shabana Hearn and former Villa and Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino. You like a bit of Elvis?
Yeah, I grew up with him.
Yeah, he got sold for 12 rhinestone tracksuits.
Love Cass on breakfast the other day, Valley. It was absolutely top stuff. Right. Dean Ashton now on commentary duty, channeling his inner Brucey.
Reinders with the in-swinging corner, up went Rodri, punched away, drops to Cherky. Good save by Hermanson in his near post. He saw that through a crowd of bodies and he held on to the ball as well. Yeah, didn't he do well?
It's ridiculous. And finally, talkSPORT's Corner of the Month to breakfast.
You're not going to tell me that you wouldn't miss the atmosphere of North London derby. Come on.
I've lost you 1 second.
Top call.
Tremendous, isn't it?
We love our callers here on talkSPORT. A reminder, you go to TSH and J to vote for your favourite clip for the month of March, and then we'll bring the winners to you a little bit later on. That was Clips of the Month, all thanks to Toolstation.
Clips of the Week on talkSPORT with Toolstation. Next stop, Toolstation.
Jet.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of time for some Forest chat, Andy. I mean, what do you make of it? You said at the top of the show, and understandably so, a win against Spurs doesn't put Forest safe.
No,
it certainly does psychologically give us that little bit of momentum. Enjoy the international break for most of those players, and then come back in revived, ready to go.
The thing is, all of 4 clubs involved, really, we're talking West Ham, we're talking Leeds, we're talking Spurs, we're talking Forest. 7 games to go. Whoever goes into a bad trot is going to go down.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult to predict. And it'll change weekend by weekend. I mean, for example, West Ham win, they go out of the top 3. Spurs go to Sunderland, lose, they're in the bottom 3. Then it looks different. Forest drop some points, Spurs and West Ham win, then it'll look different again. It's going to go right down to the wire. You think it's going to go down to the last game, I would imagine.
Do you think this will be the first season in a long time where 40 points is going to be what's needed, or do you think it'll be a little bit less than that?
I don't know, really. It's hard to say. Yeah,
I think this is going to be the first season where a club needs 40 points to stay in the Premier League, because I do think we are going to finally see the age-old new manager bounce from Roberto De Zerbi. But one thing I do think about that appointment, which gives me, as a Forest fan, a little bit of confidence, is yes, Roberto De Zerbi's a really good manager. Pep Guardiola, I think, called him one of the most influential managers in football at the minute, and that's high praise coming from one of the very best. But I just think the problems at Spurs are much deeper than whoever is in the dugout. I think there's a cultural issue with the dressing room and the attitude of certain players, particularly Christian Romero. And so I think it is going to take a little bit of time to sort of change that and turn the tide a little bit, which gives me as a Forest fan a lot of confidence.
Yeah, it could be true, but the thing is, the permanent appointment is a key thing for Spurs because the players are going to know that they have to impress this manager, otherwise they're not going to be around next season. So, I mean, some of them may not want to be around, but a lot of them will, and I think Spurs have got enough to stay up, but we'll see. I mean, it's very exciting not if you're down there, it isn't. It's absolutely disaster, but for everybody else, it's quite an interesting situation.
Conversation I had with Jamie O'Hara on the Sports Bar before that game between Forest and Spurs at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was I said that I think that Forest have on paper a much better team, a much better squad. I think all Premier League managers, Roberto De Zerbi,
it was a funny game, that game. I mean, Spurs were the better team for half an hour. They'd scored, would have been a different game. So I don't know, there's not much to choose between any of them. As I say, it'll come down to the run-in, it'll come down to form, pressure from the other teams.
It also comes down to bottle. It comes, and I think that Forest have got that in abundance. Yeah, Elliot Anderson and particularly Morgan Gibbs-White carrying that team on their shoulders. And for all of the sort of talk around Elliot Anderson, even just the way in his pre-match press conference with Thomas Tuchel was, journalists firing questions at him about his future, and clearly he's going to be the first player out the door in the summer, whether Forest stay up or not.
No,
but he's locked in, as they say. And I think that Forest have got that in abundance. We haven't seen that from Spurs this season. And again, that gives me that little bit more confidence. But having said that, one win against Spurs doesn't guarantee it. It's all to play for. I mean, are you backing a particular team to stay up or go down?
No, it's absolutely impossible to predict. I mean, with De Zerbi, if he doesn't have new manager bounce, the Spurs are gone. They're done. The way they play, they're without doubt they've been the worst team in the league this season. I mean,
they've not won at
Christmas.
Home in the league
Since Christmas.
year.
I mean, since Wolves have improved slightly, Burnley give every game a go. Spurs have definitely been playing the worst football in the league. But we'll see. This is a new manager. He's got a great reputation. He'll definitely fill them with some confidence, I think, and we'll see. But going to Sunderland, been a bit iffy. Sunderland, they're not quite. But that was a great win. They're coming off a great win too, and then they're not going to want to let their season just fall away.
I just
lots of exciting football to come, I feel.
I just wonder with Spurs if we're looking at another Manchester United situation whereby you think that you bring in a world-class manager or a top manager, however you want to describe them, and think that it's going to turn around. Well, United are only just turning a corner very slowly under Michael Carrick after so many
months. Your judgment here is clouded completely by wishful thinking.
It is, but not as wishful because we beat them 3-0 and I'm feeling pretty confident.
Okay, good.
Coming up next, we'll be joined by Todd Macklin for his American Sports Roundup. You're listening to Hawksbee and Jacobs on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation.
So tell us, Adam, what was it like working with Roberto? Because obviously you worked under some great managers, Klopp, as we all know how great he was. So where do you put Roberto as a coach, and what he helped you develop your game?
Right up there with the top. I always compared him with Jurgen. Actually, probably just the passion that they both possess for the game. I think kind of tactically and game model wise, they're completely different. But in terms of like love and passion for football, they're exactly the same.
Adam, as an interest, I've got to read you a quote, if I may, from your teammate back in the day, Lewis Dunk, in 2023. He said this about De Zerbi, and I quote, "Since the new coach arrived, I see football in a completely different way." He said, but the initial transition was carnage and confusion. So I get it totally. It maybe took a little bit of time for him to get his methods over. The one worrying thing for Tottenham fans, he doesn't have a lot of time to get that over, though.
No, I think Listen, Roberto's an extremely smart man. He'll know that he's not got time to play a certain way, a certain style, and he won't be snobbish to not understand that. He knows he's got to go in there, motivate a group of men, and luckily for Roberto, he might not know that, but he's one of the most inspirational managers people there is, in my opinion.
How are we? This is Hawksbee Jacobs, me, Max Scott, alongside Andy Jacobs. We got South American football expert Tim Vickery joining us in a moment or in a little while, and then we've got Ian Danter as well to do a roundup of a huge Easter weekend in the EFL. talkSPORT exclusive commentaries, wall to wall from Friday through to Sunday. But time now for a little bit of chat in terms of the US sports landscape and what's happening. Delighted to say that Todd Macklin is back with us. How are you, Todd?
I'm good, Max. How you doing?
Yeah, doing well. Now, before we get into some of the stories, it's just reached us, you might have seen this, news regarding ticket prices. The first open sale of World Cup 2026 ticket prices has come out. And
this is the final,
yeah, charging for the final £8,333, $10,000.
That doesn't affect Canada.
It doesn't affect Canada. But, I mean, we're outraged. We're outraged, Todd, about the prices. What is it just part of American sports that the tickets cost so much that it's all just used to it?
Intrigued. You've got 5 group games in Vancouver. What are the prices in Canada, rather, Todd? What are the prices like in Canada compared to what we're seeing from America?
I think the minimum price was like $1,500 for the group game matches, and then I've seen upwards of like 8,000 as well. So one of the key things about ticketing was Canada plays the winner that we all know that Bosnia won, right? But if Italy had won, Canada against Italy would have been in Toronto. And so what happened is when Italy lost, people had bought for that match already, right? Knowing that it could be Italy against Canada. So all these people who had bought tickets for that match now don't want it, right? Because it's not Italy. And so all those tickets have kind of got on the secondary market.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's interesting to see what will happen. You're going to get a lot less than what you probably paid for, thinking it was going to be Italy. Now you still see Canada but it's just, guys, it's not the same as Canada-Italy is as Canada-Bosnia.
Are the prices scaring fans away? Because we hear from England fans all the time that are essentially saying, we're not going because it's going to cost me too much money to stay for a prolonged period of time in America. Are fans in Canada, in Mexico, in the US saying, we're not going to watch it?
I don't think, Max, they're going that far. I think they're saying, hey, we know the matches are going to be on TV or wherever you have stream it as well. So I just think people are making the decision not to physically go.
Yeah.
And for Canada as well, guys, it's one thing for the matches in Canada to pay for them and whatever, the prices are high. But for Canadians to go to the U.S., our dollar is so low in value to the U.S. And, people have made a decision not to go to the U.S. because of Trump and because of, what he has said about Canada being a 51st state. So you'll see, Canadians are buying tickets for the matches in Canada, but really not that interested to go to the U.S. to watch any matches. So if Canada advance, they're going to have to play in the U.S., and that will have an impact on just the crowd size of Canadians.
Yeah. Now, we're in the middle of a very big weekend of American sport. It's the Final Four weekend. That's college basketball. But I'm sure it's been all over social media. It was one of the most remarkable finishes to any game, any sport, really. This UConn against Duke. And you can tell us what happened, but it's gone viral, hasn't it, this?
It really has. And you're talking about two massive schools. UConn has won the Final Four 2 out of the last 3 years. Duke is a perennial basketball power. They met in the Elite Eight. Duke was way up. Duke was 19 points up at one point in the game. Guys, I think it's the first time in 135 March Madness games where a number one seed has led by 15 points or more at half and lost. So Duke became the first one. They actually had the ball and the lead, a 2-point lead and the ball, turned it over. UConn made a 3-point basket at the buzzer to win. You're right, just because of the magnitude of the schools and obviously the magnitude of an Elite Eight game, it became massive. And so UConn now is in the Final Four. They have a chance to win the championship 3 out of 4 years. That hasn't been done since UCLA, the famous Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor played on those UCLA teams. So just incredible moment the other day in March Madness.
Who's the villain who gave the ball away? It was such a mad thing to do. All he needed to do was keep it. He could have dribbled it. He could have got a foul. He could have done anything, but what he did.
Well, that's it exactly. And the guy who turned it over was Cameron Boozer, who was their best player in the game. He scored 27 points in the game. So that's what's hard about this as well, Andy. If he just held on to the ball and got fouled, he would have gone to the free throw line. But yeah, he tried to make a pass. It got tipped, ended up back in UConn's hands. And it was a long 3-point shot. Like it was a desperation. It was a Hail Mary that went in. And Duke loses a game they never should have lost.
Is he related to Carlos Boozer? Are they related, or is it just...
He is son. So Boozer twins played on the Duke team. Cameron, the one... And Cameron is a guy they're talked about being a top 3 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. So you're not talking about, a role player, someone making a mistake. You're talking about the best player on the team making a mistake like that. But again, with this tournament, it's teenagers, it's young people with just an incredible amount of pressure on them.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it was a good one. The first video I saw of it actually wasn't of the shot itself. It was of a zoom in
of the mum,
Braylon Mullins' mum reacting it, and it's incredible. Yeah. And then I've seen it
quite
since.
Sweary.
Yeah, it is. And it's been ranked by Sports Illustrated as the 7th greatest college basketball buzzer beater. See, if you haven't watched it, find that on social media because it is an incredible moment. But one thing I want to talk about, which I don't know much about, but I'm fascinated by, is that NFL referees, Todd, are close to strike action, so much so that the league itself are sort of planning contingencies and training up other people that might stand in.
If only it could happen here.
Max, this happened in 2012. so the NFL and their officials couldn't come to an agreement on a new contract. So for 3 games in the 2012 NFL season, they used replacement refs. So not NFL refs, mostly college refs. And the calls were so egregious after the 3 weeks that they finally, the NFL relented and brought the officials back because the calls were so bad. And you're talking about the most influential North American sport, one that betting is very heavily involved. And you're having people that just weren't up to standard calling these games. And forget about injuries. Like they just, there were people getting injured because these guys just didn't have control of the game. So listen, in a negotiation, the NFL has to make these guys think they're going to try it again. I don't want to see it if they use replacement officials again, because it was horrific in 2012.
They need to sort it. Talking of officials, baseball have got a new law, a new rule this year, haven't they? Because there were so many missed calls by home plate umpires last season. They've brought in a sort of review system, and was it right? 155 overturned calls in the first 7 days of the season. That is incredible.
It is. So each team gets 2 challenges in the balls and strikes, but you keep your challenge if you were right to challenge. There was a guy, Andy, there was one ump that had 6 missed calls, basically overturned calls in a matter of innings. So, yeah, it's a really bad look for the umpires, right? Because you're seeing right away. And you're seeing it on the video, right? Like Hawkeye in tennis or cricket or whatever. You get a chance, all the fans, all the players, you get to watch it in the stadium. So yeah, it has been really tough on the umps, the new review system.
Who'd be around? Although who would be? But it's better to get it right in this situation.
100%.
And yes. It's got to be one of the hardest officiating tasks in all sport because it's just an imaginary square, isn't it? And that is difficult. And
it's moving it about 100 miles an hour.
And if they miss it slightly, that's one thing. But some of them, they are missing it by, several feet, which is a bit odd. But there we go.
Todd, absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll speak to you soon.
See you, boys. Thank you.
That's Todd Macklin, our US sports expert, running us through some of the stories across America, North America. But coming up next, we're going to be joined by our South American football expert, Tim Vickery.
All right, Cundy.
Hello, matey.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
How you feeling?
I'm all right. I'm okay, yeah.
Gone well?
Yes, so for those that don't know, the hair transplant last Thursday.
Yep.
A couple of days off.
Yeah.
Back in today.
You're looking well, mate. You look well.
So far.
You look hard.
Well, well, the head's been shaved, right? So there's always got the image, haven't you? Like of a bit of a thug.
Yeah, you look like you're going to be on like Football Factory or something.
Yeah, but look, it went well. It's such a weird process. I mean, you're in the chair for about 8.5 hours. It's all done.
I mean, that's hell for you, right? You can't.
Oh, mate. Well, they gave me. I fell asleep halfway through it. They gave me sedatives. Yes, I struggle to sit still, mate. But
struggle.
I struggle to sit.
Impossible.
Still. Yes, but they're sedatives, mate. They work their magic. But here we go. So the beginning.
Mate, I like it.
Well, we'll see. It's
the new Cundy.
The new version.
The new version of.
No, improved. I don't know about that.
It looks all right, mate. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, well, look, big shout out to the Wimpole Clinic. Thank you very much for what they did. And we'll see the results, mate, over the next coming 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
You've got to have a haircut, mate. What's the haircut look? What's the trim? You
Don't know.
Quiff?
Don't know what I'm going to go for, mate.
You look all right with the old skin.
Listen, I'm not having a hair transplant and then looking like this.
No?
I'm not. No, you don't have a hair transplant and shave your head.
It's all right, though.
Well, for the time being, I've got no choice. Yeah. I've got no choice. This is how it's going to be. All right, so there you go.
You're making me die.
Yeah, it's a bit. I mean, did it hurt? Obviously, during the operation, it's very weird, or during the procedure, very weird, mate. There was one at the back, so I had 3 people working on my head at one time, and I couldn't feel it, but I could feel them. It's all a bit like when you had the anaesthetic in a dentist. You know, someone's working on.
After more than 3 months on the sidelines, Alexander Isak is expected to make the Liverpool bench against City on Saturday. And talkSPORT's Gabby Agbonlahor reckons Isak will get straight back into the starting 11 when he's fully fit and can see slots going with a 3-5-2.
Frimpong and Kirkers as wing-backs. Yeah. They've got is it Leone, the centre-half, and we're back, hopefully.
The French lads.
Yes, maybe bring in another centre-half, the 3 in the middle, and Ekatike and Isak as 2 centre-forward.
Elsewhere at City, Thomas Tuchel has said Phil Foden's World Cup place is not guaranteed. Now, Tiger Woods will leave the US for medical treatment following his arrest on suspicion of driving under the influence. Woods is stepping back from golf to focus on his health and will not captain Team USA at next year's Ryder Cup. 4-time major winner Dame Laura Davies doesn't think her hero needs to keep driving.
That's the only thing I'd question, but the pain side of it, I cannot even imagine the pain the man's in. So I'm so pleased to hear that. Sounds like he's really addressing it now.
And Tony Bellew has backed Derek Chisora to beat Deontay Wilder this weekend.
Simon Jordan was saying that, he hasn't seen Deontay Wilder throw meaningful punch in 12 months, and I get his point there, I really do. But he only needs one punch, lads. He's a one-trick pony, but I'm not going to lie, it's a hell of a trick.
Loads more on talkSPORT's boxing YouTube channel.
If you've just tuned in, unfortunately, I bring the news that World Cup final tickets are going to cost $8,000 if you want to be there. But a much cheaper way to enjoy the World Cup is our very own How to Win the World Cup podcast with Matt Ford, Forest fan legend, and Jacob Hawley speaking.
Quite the same thing. It's not actually going to the World Cup final, is it? I wouldn't compare the two things.
Well, I'm trying to segue from recent news into our top class podcast. No,
I've got to do this though. This bloke's just put this on X. Waiting in the FIFA ticketing queue for 5 hours to find out if I can buy a $240 ticket for DR Congo versus Uzbekistan. It's not my idea of a good time. Neither will be going to that match, mate, but there we go.
It is absolute madness. It's madness. But as I say, Matt Ford and Jacob Hawley are going to be on the How to Win a World Cup podcast speaking to South American football expert Tim Vickery. They discuss Brazil's chances this summer and if they can end their 24-year wait to win the World Cup. Here's Tim explaining why Brazilian fans aren't happy having players from bottom half Premier League teams in their squad.
There's a distance which has grown up between a lot of the fans and the team, because they almost all play abroad. And it's funny you mentioned there's some in the Premier League. There's a real resistance to this. They really don't like it.
Really?
When it's players of what they see as small clubs. You know, social media just rages when players from Wolves are picked up or so, or are selected. West Ham, you know, even Tottenham Hotspur, you know, clubs that are fighting relegation. A lot of the players who play for the national team, many of the fans don't really know so much anymore. Yeah, and if they're winning, that's not a problem. But if they're not winning, that's a huge problem.
Oh, sorry. I thought Tim was talking. We did that story last week. I was thinking, what's going on? I see. It's part of that thing, the Matt Ford thing.
Yes,
Okay.
it is indeed.
Marvellous.
Remember, Ryan, you can watch How to Win the World Cup on the talkSPORT YouTube channel, or listen wherever you get your podcast. I like to say that Tim is with us now.
Live.
Tim, how are you doing, mate?
Very well, very well. And just to add a little bit to what that idiot was saying there, Mr. Igor Thiago of Brentford might have booked his place in the World Cup. He came off the bench Tuesday night against Croatia late on. It was drawing 1-1. They got a penalty. It was one of the most ludicrous penalty decisions I've ever seen, but there you go. The order comes from the bench. Who's going to be taking the penalty? Your man, Brentford's man, West London's finest, Igor Thiago. As he steps up, there are boos from the Brazilian crowd. They don't want him to take it. They want young Endrick to take it. He's just come off the bench. He's won it. So Igor Thiago is booed by some of the Brazilian fans before he tucks away the penalty that puts Brazil on the way to a 3-1 win. But he took it very nicely under pressure. And that was a lot of pressure, even being booed by your own fans.
I think
go on.
The Brazilian fans are the worst fans. They don't even like football. They only like winning, don't they? That's all they're interested in. I don't think they actually like football.
There is a lot of that. You know, I've been doing Brazilian media for a long, long time, and so many people inside the game have said, you know what, deep down, we're not really that keen on football. We just like winning. You know, our national sport is patting the back of the winners and telling them how great they are. There is as well a huge love for football, or the country wouldn't produce so many great players. But compared to some of the other teams, maybe it's not producing as many great players as it once did, especially when we look at France. You know, France beat them last week, playing almost the entire second half with 10 men, and France were worthy winners. And then with a B team, France thrashed Colombia. That strength and depth that the French have is frightening.
Oh yeah, it's hard to look beyond them as winners, but we'll see what happens. What about Esteban? He missed the this particular international break, but sometimes it's not a bad thing, is it?
No, and it does mean, I think, every game that he misses means more gas in the tank come the World Cup. Remember that he joined Chelsea without holidays beforehand. You know, he was playing for Palmeiras. He more or less changed shirts in the course of the same game. You know, he scored that wonder goal against Chelsea for Palmeiras in the Club World Cup. Then at the end of the game, he becomes a Chelsea player. So, you know, the first Premier League season can be really, really draining. Chelsea have used him, you know, and sometimes given him a rest, and a little rest now, remembering that between September and November, he scored 5 goals for Brazil. It took Vinny Jr. years and more than 30 games to score 5 goals for Brazil, and he did it in 2 months. He is, Andy, as I'm sure you're seeing on a regular basis, a very special talent.
No, we love him, and he's one of those players when he comes on, he gets you off your seat. He's a tremendous player. And I think they've used him sparingly, and he has been injured recently, but I think now he's looking quite strong, so I think he'll start against Port Vale, but we'll see. Anyway, we should come to Argentina now. You've got a couple of stories there. A strange sending off, and no guarantee, is there, that Messi will play in the World Cup if you listen to the coach?
Indeed. Well, Messi hasn't made the decision yet. He hasn't said.
Why Scaloni... is that, Tim? It seems so obvious that as a winner, and I know we've seen the images of him sort of rather emotional in his final training session with Argentina in Argentina, I think. But surely he's going to want to play.
Yeah, when he does turn 39 in the course of the World Cup. And remember, like Pele wouldn't play 74 because he wanted, with that sense of theatrical timing, he wanted to have left the stage on a high. And there's that little question mark in Messi's mind. Can I still do it? Can I tip the balance at the highest level? Now, Argentina's, this is why I say it's a bizarre send-off, because since finishing World Cup qualification, Argentina's opponents have been Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Angola, and now Mauritania and Zambia. That's not really stress testing your ability to tip the balance in a World Cup. The end of last week, they played Mauritania. It was dreadful, actually. It was really poor. I mean, Messi came on at half-time. They were all right first half, and Julian Alvarez, for me, is now the more important player in the team, more important than Messi. He came off at half-time, Messi came on, and they were dreadful second half. And at that point, you're thinking, is Messi going to do it? And then the other night, Tuesday night against Zambia, it's Messi and Julian Alvarez together. And that way Messi makes sense because you're surrounding him with the lung power, the talent, the intelligence of Julian Alvarez. The two of them combined to score a goal right at the start. The two of them combined to score Argentina's second just before half-time. They win 5-0 and everyone goes home happy. I think Messi will definitely play the World Cup.
Yeah.
But it does help him that they're not quite as dependent on him as they were. They played some of their best football without him. But there are questions, there are issues with Argentina. And one of those is Messi. How much can he do? Another is the impossibility of replacing Angel Di Maria, who was such a great big occasion player. And the other one is it's the same defensive unit that went to the last World Cup and that nearly collapsed time and time again in the last World Cup. And you saw them embarrassed against both Mauritania and Zambia. Especially on the counter-attack. In both of those games, the Villa keeper Martinez had to make some terrific saves. So you're thinking, this is a longer World Cup. There's an extra World Cup. There's an extra knockout round. Surely one of these times that Argentina defensive unit is going to be their undoing. And maybe that's another reason for Messi to think, hang on a minute, is this going to end up well? Instead of political careers, they all end in failure. And that's probably true of football careers quite often as well with World Cups. Remember Gareth Bale at the last one. He did so much to get Wales there, but come the tournament, he just didn't have it in the tank anymore. And I think Messi is a little bit worried about something similar.
Yeah, it's possible.
We've been talking about, obviously, two big powerhouses in Brazil and Argentina, but I mean, Ecuador, bit of a dark horse. Moises Caicedo. I think that they're going to go on and cause some real trouble in the World Cup.
He has overplayed. Tim talking about big players overplay. He is overplayed. I mean, he has not been the same player. The drop-off from him this season has been quite staggering for Chelsea fans. I mean,
and he won't play the first game unless there's a last-minute reprieve. He's suspended for Ecuador's first game, which is a potentially crunch game against the Ivory Coast.
Tim, can I ask just on that? I remember when sort of Cristiano Ronaldo's red card was rescinded and Ecuador were reported to be one of the nations that was sort of questioning that. Has anything come from that? And because you would imagine that sort of FIFA are hamstrung because it's one rule for Ronaldo and a different rule for other players that are meant to miss the first couple of games.
Ecuador are still hoping. They're still hoping that they might get a reprieve on that one, and it is potentially a crunch game for them. But Ecuador go into this World Cup 17 games unbeaten. Fair enough. They've only won 6 of them. A lot of draws and a lot of 0-0 draws. They don't score goals. Those 17 games, they've scored 15, but they just don't concede. And in a World Cup like this, that can be won by the Jack Charlton method. Remember Jack Charlton in 1990? Hang on a minute. We don't have to win any games. We don't even have to score any goals. We can just go 0-0 on penalties.
Yeah.
So if you're going to eliminate Ecuador, you're going to have to breach that defensive unit. Pacho of Paris Saint-Germain, who the Ecuador coach says is the new Van Dijk. Hincapié of Arsenal. Arsenal fans have seen how good he is.
Defenders.
There's another one who plays in Belgium at the moment, a young one, Ordonez. I'm amazed he's not in the Premier League, and I think he will be very, very soon. It's a terrific defensive unit. The problem is that up front, they are still dependent for goals on the former Premier League striker, Enner Valencia, who scored all of their goals in the 2014 World Cup and all but one in Qatar, and he's still going, and they haven't got a lot to take the strain off him.
Tim, brilliant stuff, mate. Thank you so much for joining us. A reminder that you can listen to Tim on our How to Win a World Cup podcast on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. A reminder as well, your 2 finalists for the Clips of the Month are Emma Kerwin on news. I know she'll be delighted with that. And Tony Cascarino revealing his big mates with Elvis. You've got 15 minutes to head over to the H&J Twitter account to pick your winner. Now, we'll be playing the winning Clip of the Month at the end of the show, so get your votes in. Coming up next, we're going to look ahead to tomorrow's EFL action with talkSPORT commentator Ian Danter.
the same Vinay Venkatesham who was lauding and applauding Daniel Levy there. He blamed Levy for the club's issues at a fan advisory board meeting. Insufficient focus across the organisation on-pitch success, a lack of specialist expertise in certain areas, and insufficient empowerment of experts in others. A growing disconnect between the club and its supporters base. But 3 months before that, Daniel, I don't know how you do it.
It's like
I mean, what?
It's like wedding vows, isn't
That
it?
shows you the calibre, doesn't it? I don't doubt the man is a commercially adept operator. But the king is dead. Long live the king. I had one of those in Phil Alexander, who was a treacherous hound as well. And in this instance, you've got people,
you didn't name
not
them there,
leaders, not leaders. That's not a leader. That's not a leader. That's not a leader. First of all,
Venkatesham?
Yeah, what a fawning, pitiful, sycophantic exhibition of absolute ghastliness, right, which was then spun on its head 6 months later because his new masters have suggested something different. I mean, that doesn't smack to me of any one single scintilla of integrity, does it you? For me...
Integrity or sincerity.
Yeah, I mean, listen...
And I met Vinay, and I thought he was a delightful
He's an operator.
fella.
I'm sure
But
he's an
then-
operator. I want leaders. It's not a leader. You don't run with a hare and hump with the hounds as a leader. You have definite views. Yeah, you adjust your information and you pivot. And he may well have found some awful bodies in the building, metaphorically speaking, that subsequently explain this... Yeah, good afternoon. You're listening to Hawksbee and Jacobs with me, Max Scott, alongside Andy Jacobs. Coming up next, following us, it's Drive with Andy Goldstein and England and Forest legend Stuart Pearce. What a pleasure to hand over to Psycho. Then after that, got Natalie Sawyer and Scott Minto on kick-off before the boys on the sports bar return. It's Jamie O'Hara and, of course, Jason Cundy. And no better way for us to finish this show than look ahead to what is going to be an absolutely belting weekend, long Easter weekend of EFL action. If you think that the Premier League title race is done, if you're bored of the race for the top five, look no further than the EFL, and we've got you covered across the talkSPORT network this weekend. Delighted to welcome in our friend, our colleague Ian Danter to give us a little bit of a lowdown ahead of the weekend. Dance, how you doing, mate?
Very good, thanks, Max. Hi, Andy.
Hi. Good to see you. Now, look, let's start with the early kick-off. Good Friday, live and exclusive on talkSPORT. Middlesbrough against Millwall. Borough, I mean, they hit that purple patch, didn't they, under Kim Hellberg? Millwall, for me, a little bit of a surprise package. I know they've sort of been flirting with playoffs in the past couple of seasons, but they're really in there now, sort of sitting comfortably, potentially even looking to get into the automatic promotion. That is a great fixture to start off the weekend.
Perfect way to get things underway, and there is that incentive for Millwall to get into the top two. And there's very few better fits that I can think of than Alex Neil and Millwall, the way that he's, there's no superstars in that Millwall squad, in that lineup, but they're all contributing. They're all scoring goals, the front four, whether it's Josh Coburn or whether it's Ivanovic or whether you've got Femi Aziz, doesn't matter. They're all contributing goals. And Middlesbrough, they've had a couple of blips. trying to keep pace with Coventry at the top of the shop. And Millwall's away form is worth looking at, Max, tomorrow. I think Millwall have won 5 of their last 7 away, keeping clean sheets in 4 of them. So, it's not just the Den where they're formidable. They're really good on the road.
You have to say Frank Lampard's done a brilliant job at Coventry, because they did look a bit wobbly, didn't they, a few weeks back, but they had a couple of bad results, but they look clear now. You can't see them not being promoted.
What the great thing is, Andy, that we've seen from Coventry is when they have had a bit of a wobble, there's been a very swift reaction to that wobble, and they've got themselves back on an even keel very, very quickly. They've got, I would say, the best goalkeeper in the division in Rushworth on loan from Brighton, who's been brilliant all season. There's players like, I think the understanding between Milan Van Eyck, the right back, and Tatsuhiro Sakamoto on the right wing has been terrific. I think they've got a very good understanding. Jack Radoni has really trained on. I think he's benefiting, Andy, as much as anybody from having Frank Lampard as his manager and becoming that sort of box-to-box goal-scoring midfielder. And there's goals in the team up front with Haji Wright and Thomas Asante and Ellis Sims. So it's all clicked into place really, really nicely for Coventry. And they've got more season ticket holders than they've ever had, even in the Highfield Road days, and they're lapping it up.
Brilliant.
And so you're on commentary duty on the talkSPORT 2 exclusive 3 o'clock kickoff, West Brom at Wrexham. I mean, we talk about this in terms of the EFL all of the time. It really is sort of, whether it's the race for automatic promotion, the playoffs, or the bottom 3. This is a huge game in that, because you've got Wrexham, who I think have just sort of been knocked out of the playoffs by Southampton, who of course are going great guns, and then West Brom, where quite frankly it seems to be sort of all falling apart a little bit.
Well, it was until James Morrison came in as the interim manager after the Eric Ramsey experiment, call it what you will, failed, because they hadn't won a game in 2026, West Bromwich Albion. James Morrison, who's been part of the coaching staff since he retired from playing for the club, comes in, gets a couple of draws to start with, then back-to-back wins against Hull and Bristol City. That doesn't mean they're safe, Max. You're right. They're only 4 points clear of the bottom 3. And 2 of those bottom 3 are on the same points, Leicester and Oxford. But, the underlying trend of results is really good. But Wrexham, boy, have they shown how to adapt to new division after new division after new division. And they would only need a draw tomorrow, Max, to leapfrog Southampton, because Southampton don't play in the league because of their cup tie against Arsenal. So if Wrexham even come away from the Hawthorns tomorrow with a point, they'll be back in the top 6. But they'll be hunting for all 3, mark my words.
Now, Blackburn, they're not clear of the bottom 3, and it's been quite controversial, isn't it? Because Michael O'Neill managing Northern Ireland and them, and using players that are in teams that are around. He's denied it and said, look, these players would have played anyway. It's nothing to do with the fact that I'm at Blackburn. But it's caused a bit of a problem, hasn't it?
I believe that 1 or 2 clubs have been in touch with the EFL directly about this, Andy, that no specific club names have been given. But, you look through the squad list and you can draw your own conclusions. But I don't see Michael O'Neill as that kind of, manager that wants to do anything scurrilous or underhanded.
It's a bit Machiavellian, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's not. That's not Michael O'Neill's style for me. And look, he will tell you himself. It's all very well, if you can accuse me of this, but what I've got to concentrate on is keeping Blackburn competitive. And they go and play at my lot tomorrow, and Blackburn they've been sort of hovering in around the lower reaches of the table long before Michael O'Neill turned up. So they've got to be careful that they don't get sucked into it. Birmingham will want to put on a bit of a show, because we've fallen off in terms of our form just lately, and Chris Davies will want to show that his players are worthy of a bit of respect come the end of the season. So that's no gimme for Blackburn tomorrow at St Andrews.
Dance, I know we've spoken about Coventry, who play Derby County in our exclusive commentary tomorrow night. I'm purely interested as a Nottingham Forest fan. I cannot countenance Forest going down this season and Derby creeping into the playoffs and getting promoted. They're going great guns under John Eustace. I think he's stabilised them really well. Adjumang and Morris both on 10 goals, which in the Championship is, a rare commodity to have, I think, 2 players in double digits. They're 3 points off. I mean, do Eustace's Derby have it in them to go away to the league leaders and and get a real scalp there?
They've got a good away record, Max. I think they've won at least 8 away games this season, Derby. You look, it's the Championship. Bottom can beat top. Never mind, a team just outside the playoffs beating top spot. And they'll be roared on. There'll be at least 2,000 Derby fans, I'm sure, making the short trip down the the M42 and M6 to head to the CBS Arena. Yeah, you mentioned Adjumang, and Morris was out for some considerable time, injured, and has still got to double figures in terms of goals. And John Eustace showed in his time with my club how he works with the basic raw materials and gets a good team ethic going. And he's doing exactly the same at Derby County. You don't rule them out of the playoffs at all. There's a lot of bunching going on for that 6th place.
Absolutely not. I mean, I sincerely hope they don't. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Dan, it's an absolute pleasure. You're going to be on commentary duty for us. Have a great weekend, mate. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, chaps.
That's Ian Danter, our EFL expert, commentary extraordinaire. Now, the votes are in. The votes are in. And the winner of the clips of the month for March is none other than our newsreader, Emma Kerwin. Let's have a listen.
And 5 companies are under investigation as part of a crackdown on fake online reviews. Also Trader, Just Eat, FIFA, Dignity and Pasta
It's going well.
Are being investigated by the Competition and Markets Authority.
We should invite Emma to come in and say the word evangelist, just to prove that she can do it.
Emma's a good mate of mine. She does.
Excuse me.
But that was an absolute belter. Andy Jacobs, thank you so much.
No,
it's been a
pleasure,
real
mate.
joy
Thank you.
presenting alongside you. Coming up next, it's the boys on drive. Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. And Stuart Pearce, Stuart Pearce, Forest legend. Get on it.
I don't know if you saw the Italy penalties last night. Absolutely,
I did.
I didn't.
Woeful.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere in Zenica in Bosnia, I mean, they had guys with flares in the high-rise buildings next to the stadium. I mean, they gave those Italians a tough night.
Okay, Nick, look, it's easy sitting here, right, taking penalties. Been there, Ali's done it as well. But when you see the Italian penalties, and 2 of them,